Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Slice of Gaming podcast for June 8th, 2025. I am your host, the Uncharted Wolf, and I am joined today by two very special people as we talk about the, not E3 week. I guess a lot of people call it. I personally call it Summer of Gaming, but kind of this whole week as a whole. And there's three big shows that we had. There's some little shows here and there that I want to bring up, but for the most part, it was like mainly centered around these three big shows. And it's Summer Game Fest, the State of Play from PlayStation, and the Xbox Showcase. We just finished watching the Xbox Showcase just a few hours ago, and I got two very special people to help me go over everything that was announced. Not everything, but our favorite things, our least favorite things, and just the overall vibes of this week. Gonna be hopefully a shorter episode. We will see. There's not really any news outside of what happened at these showcases. Joining me today is Bench.
Video games are dead.
I've always said that. And I'm also joined by Bop.
Believe it or not, you just got conked.
Fuck off, man. We were playing Mario Kart last week. Or not, no, it was yesterday. And this dude up hits me, and just I'm thinking the whole time, it's like, do not say it, Bop.
Who's the best character in Mario Kart world? But that's a discussion for a different episode.
Just quick switch to subject. We will be doing a separate podcast.
I literally was just about to say that. He can't.
You weren't saying it yet.
I literally set him up for it. I just set him up for it.
You set me up for it.
Bench's fetish, ladies and gentlemen, is to genuinely just cut me off every 5 seconds possible.
This man's got to bravely default to play. He doesn't want to be podcasting right now. He's got things to do.
As Bench said, rudely, we're not going to talk too much about the Switch 2. Maybe we'll just say quick impressions, but we're going to have a whole Switch 2 kind of like 1 week later this upcoming Thursday, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, for the most part, we're just going to be talking about the showcases today, episode 101, right after episode 100. Like I said, there's a lot of thoughts here. Before we even get into it, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, that's where you guys can find us. Also, in every other podcast platform, we're going to be on there. Like us on YouTube and pretty much everything. I always wonder, do podcast services have likes?
They have hearts.
Okay, so hearts.
Depends on the service.
Yeah, give us a heart on Spotify, I guess, and Apple reviews. Those help out a lot. And also check us out on Twitter and Blue Sky at A Slice of Gaming. I think we're ready to get into it. All right, let me ask you guys first and foremost, how are we feeling about this year's not E3?
I think it's the worst one since 2020. I mean, that
was a bad one.
I mean, normally I go into these shows with a lot of expectations, and just because of the incoming Switch 2 stuff and other stuff, I didn't have many expectations at all really going into this week. It just like snuck up on me, and I still walked away like pretty uninterested about like 80% of the things shown, and that could just be me, but I like that we got dates to fill out the year. September, October, let us all survive. We'll have to hold hands together, but yeah, I think there was just a lot of, we'll get to Summer Game Fest later, but that specifically was bad. And I mean, y'all are higher on the State of Play, and then Xbox was hit and miss. Nintendo will save us.
Yeah, Nintendo still hasn't gone yet, so we'll see. Bob, how about you?
Yeah, it's a weird one to put into words. For me, it felt like, and I don't know, maybe this is just where we're at as an industry as development times take longer and longer, but it does feel like a reload year. Like we've hit this gap where we've had banger after banger after bangers, and now we are kind of in this weird middle ground where like stuff that we're really looking forward to isn't just quite there yet. And maybe things that want to be announced just aren't at a point where people feel comfortable announcing it. So we had a lot of reveals from indies and maybe like AA, not quite AAA studios, and then maybe some other like lower level surprises, but there wasn't like a big whoa like it was really missing that high of like a bona fide,
A Witcher 4 reveal.
right, a bona fide AAA announcement, and from any of the studios. And I think that was probably the big sticking point for me. But I still liked a lot of things from each show. It's just, I think in other years, it would have been dwarfed by maybe something else. But yeah, so I didn't hate it, but yeah, it definitely was like I said, it was a reload year. I think it was a
Yeah.
little bit down.
Yeah, I think just in general, like what you were saying, Bob, is I think a lot of these studios have their games revealed and they're just not quite ready, especially on the Xbox side. Where I think me and Fusion have said in the past, we don't like having an update on Fable, Perfect Dark, Gear, all these games like every single year, to the point of like just let us know when it's ready again. We don't need to get an update. And I personally actually respect Xbox for just having other stuff. Like, I don't need to see another trailer for Perfect Dark. That's kind of how I'm feeling. But yeah, I mean, like, a lot of those studios, they got their games revealed. They got them having like a major showing. And now we're kind of in a weird position where, hey, what's left? It's like it's these little spaces in between. It's the indies. It's the kind of double A stuff. And, I think a lot of people always say how much they want double A games and indies to make a comeback, but I feel like those same people don't get really excited for those games, which is really funny. And I get it; they're not really showstopper games. They're not going to elicit the same reaction that like a Witcher 4 would. It's just very interesting to see kind of how many cool weird games that were revealed this weekend, but it almost feels like, hey, if you want to see them, you're gonna have to look for them. You're gonna have to kind of like pay attention. I don't know. I guess I'm just in a position where I'm not really disappointed. I mean, I guess I'm disappointed, but I'm not like upset, because at the end of the day, it's like I have a lot of stuff to play. I'm more than happy with the selection of games that we got for the later half of this year, especially in September and October. And I do think there's a lot of like there's some like really cool stuff that was at each one of these presentations. But as a whole, I think each of them just didn't make the headlines that I think they were really needing to. I think we should get into it. We have our lists for each of the presentations. It was a state of play, a summer games fest, and then a Xbox showcase. So, state of play, first and foremost. Just ask each one of you overall thoughts and just a quick rating. I'll start with you, Bench.
I'd probably give this. I've actually sat on this a lot because as the days have gone by, I've been lower and higher on the state of play. I'd probably give it a 7.5. There was a good bit here. There's only like two games that stuck out to me individually, and then like there was just some weird decisions and things that I just weren't big fans of. But at the same time, like it had solid games. There's still two games I'd like really want there. So that's probably where I'm sitting with the state of play.
Fair enough. What about you, Bob?
That's so funny that Bench was like, "I'm really low on the state of play more than you guys. Like, get ready for my harsh thoughts." I gave it a 7. I'm lower than Bench on the state of play. Like, and
That's funny.
also that's not really terribly
You,
low.
you got to remember bench math, Bob.
Yeah, I
7,
know, that's
worst
true.
thing
It's
ever
not an
created.
8. Yeah, good point. No, I'd give it a 7, and I've kind of talked about it in the Discord a little bit, but my high level summary is I honestly thought the strongest third party show was here. For
Yeah.
me specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not a big Resident Evil fan, so I feel like that kind of like takes me out for Summer Games Fest. So I really liked a lot of the third party and kind of smaller games that they showed here. But I don't like how much they talked about or how little they talked about their first party. I understand the state
Hmm.
of play is different than a showcase, and I understand there's different expectations, but I think not only, and granted, Astrobot was there with updates on levels, but it just really felt like a gut punch to see Yote, and they're like, actually come back in a month and we'll give you like an extended video of that. I'm like, it's your E3 show. Would it kill you to put like 10 minutes like, and then we got a deep dive. That's the other thing, we got a deep dive on a partner game, and it's like, cool, that's great. I think the Marvel game looks really good, but the fact that we're getting a deep dive on like a partnership game instead of your own studio just kind of really upset me. So
Especially when the deep dive was more of a dev diary that like didn't need to necessarily. And I'm a sucker for those things. I love learning about the insides of development and how these partnerships come to happen. But I feel like that's something you could have just put on the YouTube channel and let like the real like fans of what that game is dissect.
But like that's what Xbox does in their showcase that we'll
Yeah.
get to, and it's like, I like that stuff. I just would rather see it from Sucker Punch. Like, show me like what they're doing with your own studio. Like, not this. Granted, the Arc System stuff was cool. I just, yeah, my big gripe has been like, I know there isn't a lot for Sony to show first party wise, but there's still enough to where they can be a little less secretive than they are currently. And maybe we'll get there, but yeah, that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, Sony's just in a really weird place right now because of the live service push, a lot of those games getting canceled, and now we're kind of in a position of, hey, we have some stuff left, but like it's gonna take a while for our big boys to start to reload. And Naughty Dog's game is Intergalactic. That is seeming to go well in development, but not at a point where it can be shown off at a state of play yet. But yeah, I agree with you, Bob. I do wish we got some more first party stuff, especially with a certain first party game that kept getting rumored that I'll bring up in a bit. But for me, I thought this was solid. I think I'm kind of right there with Bench, maybe a little higher. I'm like 7.58. A lot of cool stuff that I'm personally really into, just games that personally really speak to me and my sensibilities of what I like to play. And just overall, like really well paced show. It's actually I think the longest state of play they've done in a long time. Um as well as
Longer
like
than advertised by
yeah,
like
which was
50
interesting.
minutes.
And very Japanese focused state of play, which I think is awesome. It kind of just shows it's like, hey, with the Western companies, like a lot of the Western AAA industry issues right now very much are affecting them, while a lot of the Eastern companies like a Capcom and Konami are just throwing everything out the wall, and it's absolutely doing amazingly for them. And I'm really proud of that. I think it's very exciting, and there's just a good amount of stuff for me personally. Let's talk about two highlights, one low light for each of us. We'll start with highlights. For me, highlight, I guess I will go because I don't want to take the obvious one with Marvel. um, I'll say Neo 3. I thought Neo was kind of a franchise that was going to be, I don't want to say dead, but just like left alone for a bit. So it's actually really exciting to see Team Ninjas coming back with another one. I like the new Shinobi class. I'm a sucker for these games. I think Team Ninja is one of those studios that just makes the best 7 out of 10s, where I really am a sucker for their games and what they're doing, but they're not the like top quality games. They're just sevens, and I really appreciate that. And I think Neo 3 looks absolutely spectacular. And they did get a demo. I haven't been able to play it yet, but I'm gonna try to get to it eventually. So yeah, Neo 3, that's definitely a highlight for me. It looks really awesome, and apparently it's gonna be early 2026. Bob, we were talking during it. It's like, how many fucking teams does Team Ninja have? Because I think they've released like 6 games this generation alone.
Yeah, their output's insane.
Yeah.
Bench, what about you? What's your first highlight?
I'll go with Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah,
Long
I like that.
rumored, long
Give me a leak.
rumored. Doesn't miss. But I mean, you just constantly hear how good the story is from this game. That it just makes you want to experience it. And even as honestly not the biggest tactics guy, but only had one really. Well, I guess I am a
You
tactics
like
person.
Fire
There's just
Emblem?
one. Yeah, there's just one tactics game that I don't like specifically, but I guess that like sticks above the rest. But yeah, I mean, think it looks good. Maybe wish it was a bit more of a remake. But I mean, it looks like they are adding stuff like full voice acting for like a 50-hour JRPG is always welcome. Like I mean, with Square Enix, you're getting good voice actors. They're not going to like hire people off the street. That's going to be quality.
Mhm.
So I'm just excited, and it's soon. Like that's one thing. It's soon. Although when it is I don't know if I'll get to it day one, but it is something that I've been looking forward to because I just hear how good that story is.
Yeah. What do you think of that art style? Because I think that's something that's very divided amongst a lot of the fans right now.
I mean, I don't care. It doesn't look the best. It's not HD 2D, but I don't think it looks bad.
Yeah, I think people are a little overreacting. I think it looks good. I'm kind of into the almost like smoothed out nature of it, and also, I mean, they allow you to play the original, and I think that's kind of the best
Yeah.
case scenario with these remasters, where it's like, let me play the original as well, if that's
Not
the
even
option.
like it's just not the original as well. They like overput that with the script that apparently everyone loves, like the War of the Lion script. So it's the original, but with like the PSP version script
Yeah,
that
because
people love
the
so
PS1
much.
the PS1 version had really bad translation, so they kind of went back to PSP
Yeah,
translation.
and I think that art style might be something that looks better in motion. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
we'll see. Yeah, I'm into it. Bob, you're a Final Fantasy guy. You gonna have any interest in this?
Yeah, actually, I always dabble in tactics games every once in a while. Shout out Tactical Breach Wizards from last year. Me and Colin
Oh
gave that
yeah.
game some love. Uh, so I'm definitely interested in this. And I definitely like to dabble in Final Fantasy games. I also thought the Twitter post kind of giving some more backstory
Hmm.
on the story and the setting for it and everything kind of got me interested. So depending on timing, I definitely want to check this out for sure.
Yeah, timing. I mean, it's September 30th, and we kind of know that September October area seems very very full. But maybe something will like sneak in. Who knows? Maybe we can find some time to get into that. Bob, what about you? What's your first highlight?
I gotta give it the 007 First Light. I thought
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
was an incredible first real trailer we got of the game. After kind of getting a fake out at the Switch 2 Direct, and they've been teasing it a lot in different places. I did not expect it to be at the State of Play. I totally expected this to be a Summer Games Fest thing. So good on Sony for getting it here. And I just thought it looked really really good and way more expansive than I granted I don't have a whole lot of history with Hitman, but I do understand that like at the end of the day it's more of a gameplay sandbox with its
Mhm.
mission based than it is like a story driven or like set piece
Yeah.
driven game outside of like what the train episode or train one I think was like the one
Uh,
that kind of was
yeah, that was like
kind
the
of
last level in Hitman 3, and pretty much everyone was talking about. I was like, this feels like a test bed for a 007 game.
right. And so I really liked what I saw and honestly coming off of Indiana Jones being like, yeah, put me in another movie franchise. Like put me in this immersive setting that makes me feel like I'm right there. And I think I try I mean obviously like Hitman and James Bond obviously have a lot in common. So for me, I really do think there's some good synergy here and seeing it in person, it's like, yeah, I think they really, really have something here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. This blew me away. I think just visually, and I have something to note. Like there were several games in that state of play that specifically said PS5 Pro. So I wonder if they just want things to look good in presentations, or they just want, or Sony's pushing that because that was confirmed PS5 Pro, and they also confirmed like 4K 60 for that. I think at PS5 Pro, which is pretty surprising. But I think everything they showed was very good. I don't think we got as much gameplay as I would have liked, but at the
Yeah.
same time, from the IOI showcase, we'll see more this summer. So don't gotta
Yeah.
wait long. But
Was
yeah,
that the only
I'm
thing they revealed about it? The iOS showcase?
no. They said that at the end of the state of play trailer as well. But I just wanted to shout
Oh.
out that showcase.
Oh, we'll talk about it. Don't worry.
But
Uh-oh.
yeah, I think I think it just looked really good. I think it better than I probably thought it would be.
Yeah, I'm really into it. I'm kind of surprised by how kind of low some people are on it. I think it looks great. I think it's one of those things where I really want to see what the moment to moment gameplay is, how Hitman-y it is, or if they're kind of going to go more of an action style, like Uncharted vibe. I think they're going to try to stick closer to their Hitman roots, especially like you want to get the IO guys because you want to get them to make a game that's like Hitman. And I think that'll work very, very well for what 007 is as a franchise. But yeah, I'm very much into it. 2026 date. I'm kind of with Bench where I do wish we saw some gameplay. But one thing I will say about the game, I love how it has a distinct art style. how it's not just realism. It's like, oh no, they have like kind of a interesting, unique art style to it. It being an origin story is also fascinating because I don't think any 007 property has been an origin story. There's been stuff like younger Bonds, but not to the point of like
This is the
straight up.
youngest.
Yeah, and this is the like literally this is before he got the
Mhm.
007 name. So I think that's
Mhm.
kind of cool. I think a lot of people are not into it. I'm really into that idea of like, oh yeah, let me see where it started for James Bond.
There's actually something that I guess a little theory I have is that they plan to make 2 or 3 James Bond games. I think they're trying to make this a trilogy. I think this is what the studio is going to be focused on because everything I'm seeing is that we're not getting a new Hitman for a long time because they just keep adding stuff to World of Assassination and treating that more as a platform. So I think they're all in on James Bond, and I think they want to do a trilogy or something with this, and I wouldn't be entirely against it if the first one, because it looks really good.
Do we
Yeah.
know if they have multiple teams? Because there is also the Project Fantasy in collaboration with Xbox.
I think this is the Hitman team, and then there's probably like a smaller thing just pushing out updates for Hitman. But yeah, we do know that Project Fantasy is still a thing as well.
Yeah, I wonder what that's all about. I know it's weird because like now they're in a point where they really want to be like a publisher. Like they want. Oh, sorry about that. They really want to kind of like show off their publishing power and go, hey, we're gonna try to support other games and like kind of become a big like platform. Like, oh, I'm a fan of IO games, but I don't know.
Mind's
It's
Yeah, I was gonna say that's such
God
a
bless
funny statement to follow up with. And their first published game is Mind's Eye.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that's what I think they want to be, and I don't know if it's a good strategy personally, but hey, you know what? At the end of the day, there's 80 million Hitman players, so they seem to have a very loyal fan base. For me, second highlight, I am going to go with just Konami. I'm gonna cheat and choose two, specifically Silent Hill F and Metal Gear Solid Delta. Real quick on Metal Gear Solid Delta, I'm just glad they're adding. Apparently, what they teased at the end was Metal Gear Online, which is fucking awesome. It's one of my favorite online modes for any game, and I was like super obsessed with Metal Gear Solid 5's Metal Gear Online. So just the fact that it's like they're bringing it back for 3, which 3 had a pretty like decent Metal Gear Online base, considering it was a PS2 game where you had to get that stupid adapter to the back of your PS2 to even get it to work. But yeah, I'm really, really excited for that. I love Metal Gear Online, so the fact that they're bringing it back is like a weird, like, it makes me think more and more about how Last of Us Part 1 remake didn't have factions. It's like, well, they're bringing back Metal Gear Online for this, so what's your excuse? Um, and then Silent Hill F, also very, very excited for that. It looks much better than, honestly, the last trailer, and I think the last trailer looked really good too, so
Oh, I
it's kind of
disagree.
interesting. Oh, you're lower?
I'm not lower because I still think it looks really good, but I think there was a lot of visual bugs and things that I was surprised when we got to the end of the trailer and it was September. Because I don't think it looked entirely finished.
I will say I kind of felt that about Metal Gear in a way with like some of the trailer shots. It looked a little weird. I almost think like some of this trailer footage that they showed from the Konami games was like from an earlier builds.
Could have
Kind of
been.
like the same way with Silent Hill 2 remake. They have a
Yeah,
weird thing sometimes where they kind of Konami has a weird thing of just like really struggling to market their video games.
Yeah, but I mean,
Um,
Silent Hill F, that setting is just so good. And I think this, like, Silent Hill 2 was dark and had very dark themes and mature themes, but I mean, this could top it. What they seem to be going for is some dark shit.
Yeah, no, I'm really into it. I like the Japanese setting because Silent Hill has never actually been in Japan. It's always been in American setting. So to kind of go to Japan and have more like yokais and like classic Japanese horror in that way is really awesome. I love that shit. I am very curious to see if kind of the gameplay will be good enough. Now, granted, gameplay is never really the highlight for the Silent Hill games, but I am curious because they say straight up you can't use firearms or like they don't show firearms. And I think in the PlayStation blog post they mentioned like there's no firearms. So
The ratings, I think, came out.
yeah, that's
Remember, that was the story.
yeah. And I think it being fully melee combat is like, okay, interesting. But everything I've heard talk about Silent Hill 2 remake, because one of the trophies in that game requires you to beat it only melee weapons, and they're like, oh, it's actually way more fun like that. So I'm like, okay, maybe it could work out. I'm very curious about it.
Yeah.
This is effectively being developed by a team whose only credit is the Resident Evil multiplayer games. So I'll be honest, a little worrying there. But also, the story is done by a visual novel author who I know has a lot of credits, Ryukishio7, who pretty much everyone I've heard talk about him is like, oh, he's a legend when it comes to horror. So very excited to see that.
Yeah, I do think a reason they're going away from firearms is that I think they're trying to make it even more psychological because you're not like
Yeah.
supposed to be this like fired up person like
You're
kind
a
of James
schoolgirl.
was. You're a schoolgirl, so they really want you to like just have to be scared.
Yeah, and I'm into it. And I know Bop's day one on that too, so that's exciting.
Yeah, day one blocked on my store page.
Bench, what is your
There's-
second highlight?
I'd probably say, let me look at the list because y'all have
Mario.
stolen the other ones. Well, no, y'all stole most of mine.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm surprised I haven't said one thinking Wolf
There's a
is going
very
to take it.
obvious
So
one.
I mean, we could say Pragmata, I guess.
Oh, I forgot about Pragmata. Fuck yeah. Dude, that would have been one of my highlights. I completely skipped it. Dude, yeah, no, Pragmata finally re-revealed. I'm into it.
I mean, I'm into it, definitely. It's one thing, like, at this point, it looks interesting, and I hope it's early 2026, because I honestly don't need to see much more. I just want to experience it. And
Yeah.
it feels weird to say that, considering we really don't know much about this game, but it's a game that I feel like I don't need to be shown much more of. I'm ready to just play.
I think a strength of the game is that you don't really know a lot about it, which is cool. I'm into it. I like the idea of like kind of a third person shooter that also you have a telekinetic little girl on your side. It feels like a vibes game. I'm super into the aesthetic of it, and I think it's so different from Capcom, and I think that's the coolest thing. For people who don't remember, Pragmata first revealed in 2020, and I want to point out my 2023 PlayStation Showcase prediction that Pragmata would come back. Hey, it took 2 years, but I was right eventually. So yeah, very exciting. It looks awesome. Bop, are you interested in Pragmata?
I'm not, but I do like that the game's still alive because I'll never forget the like we're sorry like delay sticky note thing. I was like, that's got to be the saddest thing I've ever seen in
The fact that they brought it up again was sick.
Yeah, it was a cool full circle moment. I did like that.
I guess Bop, your second highlight. Very obvious. I feel like it's weird that has been brought up.
Yeah, there's a lot of highlights here that I could say. I'll cheat and just real quick say shout out Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Yes. Yeah.
That
it looks
continues
incredible.
to look hot. I'm very excited
July,
for that.
baby.
Yep, very close release. But for me, the second highlight's got to be Sword of the Sea.
Yeah.
From the Journey devs, that game just continues to look really, really impressive. I'm very excited for it. Give me a surfing, sword game any day of the week, and you got me. So
yeah, it's
happy to
interesting.
see that one back.
I thought this was the first reveal of it. So I was like, damn, this game looks good. And then people were like, no, this has been revealed a while back. It's like, oh, well, okay. I guess like it works out for me then because I didn't have too long to wait now. But yeah, it looks. I'm with you, Bob. It looks awesome. The sand visuals are just gorgeous.
Out of curiosity, what did you think the obvious one was?
Marvel Token.
Oh,
was
sure.
right.
I'm just not a fighting game guy, so
yeah.
I mean, it looks cool, but it doesn't do anything for me.
I mean, it looks really good. I guess I don't think you're going to bring it up, Wolf, but I'll just say it looks really good. I'm just not the biggest fighting game person, so it wasn't like a highlight.
Yeah, same here. I'm not a fighting game guy, especially of the arcs. Well, I like looking at Arcsys Fighting Works games because they have the best art style ever. But playing them, it's like, oh my god, it's the most rage-inducing thing for me.
And this one does have a cool art style.
Yeah, because it's like Japanese Marvel, which is like not very common, but when it happens, it's like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Also, Jack will be mad at us if we don't mention the Suda51 game. Romeo is the dead man.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for that one.
Yeah.
I do want to go back to Marvel Token Fighting Souls. I think it's just really cool how PlayStation is actually seemingly supporting fighting games more.
Yeah.
This seems to be probably part of their live service initiative, and this is by far the most obvious one. They own Evo, so I have there's no reason not to effectively take this.
hmm
And gorgeous visual art style, and I like how it's like different takes on these characters, like basically making Iron Man a Gundam. It's like, yeah, that's it. That's the right answer. Um, it is interesting. I see a lot of people like, oh, it's Marvel again. It's like not Marvel versus Capcom. And then I heard rumors about Marvel versus Capcom is happening like next year. So now I'm like, okay, maybe we'll have both, which maybe is a little much, but also it's like I'm not complaining because hey, two cakes.
Yeah, I do think it's different though with both of them being tag fighters. If they were not both tag fighters, I think it would be a little easier, but they're both going to do well.
Yeah, the fact that this one's 4v4 is pretty insane.
Mhm.
The best part about it, I had when I watched that trailer, it was like the first thing I did was go to Maximilian, dude. It's like, tell me more.
Yep.
He'll
He was
actually know.
levitating.
And what's it called? Romeo's a Dead Man. I know Jack's very excited. I'm excited. I love Suda51 and his games. It was that thing when watching the gameplay. I'm like, oh, this looks good, but it looks kind of cheap. And then I saw Suda51, and I'm like, okay, good. It needs to look cheap. That's the aesthetic. That's kind of how I felt when I saw Bloodstained, the Scarlet Engagement. I'm like, man, this looks ugly. I hope this isn't Castlevania. Then I saw it was Bloodstained. I'm like, perfect. That's what Bloodstained is. It has to be ugly. So that's my kind of like weird brain working the way it does. Low lights wise, I'll start. I don't really like how they did Ghost of Yote, and I mean, Bob, this is kind of your low light, right?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, this is
Okay,
gonna be my low light.
Yeah, I have a different one then. This is a weird one because I love this game to death. I think it's the Astrobot section. Where
I
agree.
I'm excited for the levels, but I'm also like, more free levels? It's like, do a paid DLC. Like, let me pay you money, or at least just work on the next game. I don't know if I need more.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious about like they'll have 10 speedrun levels and 10 challenge levels now. So you'd have to assume that after this would have to be paid.
No, it's 15 levels total.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely am at the point where I'd like some paid content because the challenge levels and all that are good, but what made Astrobot so great were those planets, and I'd like some more of those.
Yeah, it's almost like, oh, I get, like, it's probably really cheap to develop these levels, so it's probably not too big of a deal. But I would just prefer, it's like, hey, just work on the next game, or just do a big paid DLC with a couple worlds. I don't know if I need necessarily more challenge levels. I will say I'm glad they're apparently doing these all at once, which is like, thank God, because I do not want to deal with like weekly releases again.
Mm-hmm.
Bench, do you have a different low light?
I did. Digimon. They get me every time. They get me every time.
Yeah, they got you again.
Every time he sees Bandai Namco, he pops, and then it like keeps going, and he's like, "What is this?" And then finally he sees the Digimon. He's like, "What the fuck?"
I thought there was going to be a Tales of announcement this week, and technically there was. I woke up, opened my phone, and their Twitter account said, "We have an announcement to make, coming soon." And it was just a little 30-second video of them announcing that they're remastering another game. Where is the next Tales of game?
They didn't even say which game. They just said they're remastering one.
They didn't. And like, I hope it's Abyss, because I hear Abyss is great, but the rumor is something completely different. I forgot what the rumor is, but I'm sure Abyss will come eventually. But also, like, I haven't played any of these Tales of games, because there's so many other games, but I'd like to. It's just, there needs to, like, Arise was so good. It was, I think it might have been my game of the year that year. Like, loved Arise. 2021. And
I don't know.
2021 was a weak year, so.
Yeah,
but I loved Arise, and I want to see what they do next. And it's been 4 years at this point. You'd have to assume that what's next is happening, because it's not like they're shying away from the Tales franchise. If anything, they're going all in. They've remastered like 4 games now in the last 2 or 3 years. Like, they're going all in. So even if it's like 2 years away, I don't understand why you don't just announce it. Because that's what they did with Arise, and Arise looked great. So it's not even about Digimon, but Bandai Namco just did me dirty, I guess. And it's not going to be at a Nintendo thing, so the next place it could be would be like a showcase in September or Game Awards. So it's like, I wanted it now.
I would discount a Nintendo Direct happening.
No,
About
I think
opening night live.
Opening that live,
always
yeah,
forget
nothing's there. Nothing is there, man.
No, I wouldn't say nothing's there, but it's always just announced stuff. You're not getting a new big game announcement at opening night live. So, and I think,
next night,
I guess we can.
Tokyo
I
Game
also agree.
Show.
I actually kind of liked Yote didn't get a deep dive. So specifically,
well, but let's let Bob get his bars off.
mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not much more bars to get off. I just find it really funny that it's like, cool, I'm tuned in to watch a Sony State of Play, and they're finally going to show me more of the upcoming Sony game at the Sony State of Play. Oh, just kidding. No, they're not. What? Like, what are we doing here? And then to make it all worse, to do the whole Arc System Marvel game, and then do the quick tease of oh, remember me? Nope, just kidding. We're cutting to the splash screen, and we're doing our little wrap up. And it's like, guys, come on! I want to know more about what you're doing.
I'd almost prefer it just wasn't there, or the little bit they showed wasn't so long, because it felt like they were gearing up for oh, here's a gameplay demo, and then it's like, no, that's not happening.
And the one thing I'll say, because we'll get to Summer Games Fest, the one thing about the Resident Evil thing was yeah, they faked this out, but they did show it. It's like, God, don't do it if you're not going to commit, or just be like, hey, heads up, we're going to talk about this later, and then leave.
Or if anything,
I think what Resident Evil did was worse.
Yeah,
I think the Resident Evil fake out was worse.
That pissed me off, because I'm like,
but at least there was a payoff.
No,
there was.
But I think doing that in a bad show, because Jeff had to know it's not his top show, and we'll get to it later. But we'll get to that later, I guess. But with Ghost specifically, I think all we needed here was a 3-minute exploration trailer. But all that would have been was a Band-Aid on an eventual state of play for Ghost. So they just took the route of just saying, "Hey, one's coming," and I'm fine with that, because I do want a deeper dive.
It's a state of play, though. That's what's also interesting. Is it just going to be a blog post?
No, they said it's a state of play.
I don't think they did.
They said state of play. They said gameplay deep dive, and it's not
a
blog post.
So yeah, I think I'm just in a weird position with Ghost right now, as well as it's 4 or 5 months away, and I feel zero hype for Ghost, and that's weird because I loved the original. Maybe it's just because
it's just not. It's still a decent bit away, and also Death Stranding 2 happened.
Yeah, and I agree with that. That's why I want the state of play, because it'll be at that point, it'll be 2 or 3 months out, and I'll get a ton of information. I'm excited for that.
Can confirm it was a state of play. My bad.
Interesting. Okay. Apologize.
I apologize to Sucker Punch and yep. and Jin Sakai. I apologize to Jin Sakai too. No.
All right. Before we get off the state of play, I just want to do some quick shout outs. Luminous Arise. I'm a big puzzle game guy. I'm very interested in that.
Shout out Tetris beautiful. Effect.
Yeah, I've heard great things about Tetris Effect.
So good. I cannot wait for this. I will play this day one.
Yeah, I never knew too much about Luminous other than Greg Miller really loves it, so I'm excited to check that out. Hirogami, that's a Bandai Namco game.
Yep.
Just really cool art style. Super into
it. Kind of looked Paper Mario-esque.
Yeah,
it definitely seems like a big inspiration.
For sure. And also Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Digital Eclipse is doing that. Not a big Mortal Kombat guy, but I do love Digital Eclipse and what they do, so I'm going to be interested to see how that does. But yeah, that's about it for the state of play overall. Hey, listen, I got 2 other shows to get over, so
hold on. There's one honorable mention here. We're not
did I miss something?
Yeah, baby steps, dude. Come on.
Oh yeah,
you're not gonna leave out the goat like that.
Unironically, I'm kind of into it.
Yeah, it did kind of like it kind of sold me a little bit more, even though it's stupid as hell.
Oh yeah, I like those Bennett Foddy likes. I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out. Though it is in September, which is a very busy month.
Oh, it's that
Let's.
close? Damn. Okay.
Yeah, it's. I think Jack put it on the list. September 8th.
Damn.
Dude, September, man. I mean, it's kind of insane. Next show was on Friday, a couple days after the State of Play Summer Game Fest 2025, Keely's birthday party, as a lot of people affectionately call it. As you can tell, not a lot of people were very happy with this presentation. I'll go first. Not good. Not the best work from Keely. I think there was some cool stuff, but for the most part, it just kind of felt like a lot of blah. And I just want to point something out. You guys see the list here. At the State of Play, there was 26 things. At the Xbox Showcase, there was 32 things. At Summer Game Fest, there was 59 things.
Yeah, it's too much.
I think I remember like 4. It's the problem with the Jeff showcases, and I love Jeff, but the problem with the showcases and events is they're so long and they're so filled to the brim. At a certain point, Jeff, just say no. Just say no. Your game isn't good enough or interesting enough to get in, because it gets to the point where these shows are long and they're just a drag. A bad State of Play happens, and I'm like, I just get on with my day because it's 40 minutes. These are 2 hours long. 2 hours, and I feel like I could have cut out like an hour and a half of it. So yeah, just overall pretty weak show. It's just clear. It's just Jeff was not able to get the deals. And like you said, Bob, this is a reload year, I think, for a lot of publishers and developers. So overall, I think I'd give it like a 5 out of 10. It's not the worst thing in the world. There's definitely been worse presentations. I think just presentation wise, like everything ran and did everything correctly. It's just the games weren't there, and that's kind of the most important thing in a game presentation. All right, Bench, put on the hater cap. I know it's your time.
I'd give this a 3 out of 10. I think it's Jeff's worst show. And I went in with 0 expectations for this show. And I think that I was bored. Like, bored. I'd have to force myself to just watch this. Like, another issue was, one, it hardly had any games that were interesting in any way possible. And the other thing is, the games that were interesting had terrible showings. Like Mouse PI for Hire, terrible trailer and no date. And then there was one other one that stuck out. It was
You can control F if you can't find it.
Yeah, no date I'll give you, but I didn't think it was a bad trailer.
It wasn't
Death
a bad
Stranding.
trailer. It was an unneeded one.
Death Stranding, not a good trailer. Mafia, surprisingly not a good showing, in my opinion.
Oh,
I didn't think
really?
Mafia showed well. Just
I
nothing
mean, it was mostly
showed
a
well.
story trailer.
On top of like the Resident Evil fake out, which in my opinion you don't do in this type of show. Jeff had to have known this show was incredibly weak. You do the fake out, it just gets you in the bad mood for the rest of the show and pissed off, and then you end on it. And we'll talk about Resident Evil 9 because I thought it looked fantastic, but it's just not something you do because it just throws off the entire show. Like I think you could have gotten away with that with Final Fantasy VII the other year, because one, it was way more of a playful thing. Like, you brought out the Resident Evil director to talk, and he said nothing. He said, we're gonna have to wait a while longer. And like, just the whole like sale, it was so bad. So bad. On top of just nothing looking great at all. I thought easily his worst showing. Wasted 2 hours of time. Just so bored, so boring. Just, I can't say enough bad things about this show.
Pull out Merriam-Webster, find some more adjectives while I get to Bop. How you feeling?
Okay, that's the heat I want to see, Bench. That's the passion that I love to see out of you.
Listen, I thought me and Jeff were friends.
Okay.
Like I saw Jeff in person. I thought we were homies, and he did me like this.
I will say, wait, you met? I thought you didn't meet him.
From a distance.
Okay, shut up.
I mean,
we breathed the same air.
Why you gotta be so freaking weird about it? Pop, please
Um,
get on.
yeah, as the OG Jeff hater, this is definitely a victory lap kind of day for me.
You had Game Awards. You didn't like last Game Awards was that strong, and now you're like, oh, we're
Yep.
see
Nope. Hey, man. Still
short-term
trash.
memory loss.
Get rid of Summer Games Fest. Just commit to the Game Awards. We only need one of these a year. I think, Wolf, I'm right there with you. Funny enough, I would give this a 5 because, and it goes exactly to your point, because you look at that list and it's like so many games. I thought that it was way too long. It was terribly paced. The actual big games that were there were not for me. That being said, just by the sheer amount of games they had, I'm like, yeah, I did find a lot of these interesting, or
You gotta find the small things in between.
yeah, there were games that I wanted updates on. So I would give it a 5 because, like, unfortunately, through sheer amount of games shown, it's like, yeah, okay,
Unfortunately,
there's
it's a
some
5.
yeah, like, I wish I was lower on this, and then I look at what was there, and I'm like, yeah, I can't really hate too much. So yeah, I think it was just too long. Um, I thought the pacing was bad. I don't think the, like, sit down interviews, like the fact that it was what, Kojima,
Yeah, you just don't need to do
uh
this. It's
the
just
the
a
what
waste of time.
who it was,
Mads Mikkelsen.
IOI, who we saw all weekend. Like, oh my god, that dude had
What?
they had
Yeah.
like they had massive media attention this weekend, and then yeah, the split cake guy sucks. Like, that guy just sucks. Uh yeah,
No,
I didn't I don't know. This is out of all of his stuff. This needs to be cut by an hour. Like, it just
yeah, I agree with that for sure.
it needs to. And then I saw, like, the Blue Sky post from Jason Schreier, were comparing, the Xbox Instead of Play shows to Keeley's, and it's like, yeah, there's a difference between a showcase that wants to show you fun video games to play and a showcase that's selling ads for $300,000, and it's like, whoo, yeah. I listen, man, Jeff, get that bag. I've never not respected you getting that bag, but, like, you're getting a little too greedy. There's got to be a line here, buddy. We got to pick a lane because you are just tarnishing your own product for it. So
There's so many there's a lot of games that got a 2 announced. 3 in particular, that's like, you didn't need to make a sequel.
yeah,
That I really need to talk about. We'll talk about our highlights, that are lowlights. First highlight for me, Liza P. Overture. Looks awesome. And just the big shadow drop is like, hell yeah, I'm so down for that. To the point where, I mean, I was talking to y'all, I wanted to actually buy it. And I was like, I'll wait until maybe I can get it a bit lower. But then I'm like, $60 with the DLC on PlayStation, like, that's a pretty decent deal. So I'm kind of wavering still, but I don't know if I'm gonna get to it immediately because of Switch 2 and a lot of other stuff happening. But yeah, looks awesome. I love the gun blade. I love just the overall aesthetic of it, kind of being almost a prequel to Liza P. And I really, really like that game. So I'm not sure when I get to it, but definitely a highlight for me for the show. Bench, what about you?
I'd say, as much shit as I talked over Capcom and Jeff, I would give it to Resident Evil 9. I think that was the best trailer at the show. I think just the part, one of the settings being the destroyed Raccoon City, is just that visual they showed us was very good, and it hits all the right pieces. I know the rumors Leon's in it, but that female protagonist seemed interesting with, like, the past and stuff. Just everything it was an incredibly good showing. And the ringer it's in February. You don't have to wait that long.
Yes.
It's not like when Jeff showed Monster Hunter a year and a half before it was releasing. No, this is like 8-9 months away. You're going to be playing it at the beginning of next year, and it looks very good. And that also means we're going to see a lot of Resident Evil up and coming over the next couple months, and that's always fun. The horror looks very good, just like the crazy stuff. I don't know how I've recently become like a horror game person, but I have, and it's just, there's so many good things about it, and I can't wait for Resident Evil 9.
Yeah, I love the name Resident Evil Requiem. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the perfect
Yep.
thing to do. I love Resident Evil. It's one of my favorite franchises. So this is why I wasn't like demonstrably low on the show like some people. I was like, yeah, whatever, it's mediocre. because I'm just like really, really excited for Resident Evil Requiem. I think this trailer really did a lot to sell me on kind of the vibes and the look of it. Being kind of post nuke Raccoon City is such a perfect aesthetic for it. And just the idea of like an open world Resident Evil, I'm very curious how that works. I'm gonna be hopefully tuning into some gameplay. I think they said it's gonna be at Gamescom, so yeah, very excited. Capcom yet again is on a roll. I think someone noticed like their 2026 is kind of insane right now because they have like Resident Evil, they have Onimusha, and a couple of other things, Pragmata as well. It's just kind of continuing this Capcom renaissance in a way where, damn, they're in another league, and I'm very excited for it
Yeah.
because I love Capcom.
I will say, I wonder if Onimusha could be a little bit later in the year than we originally thought.
Because
if this is February-
with the way they're advertising Onimusha, it has to be earlier in the year because I feel like it's at every fucking show.
Yeah, but it could be like April or May, and then Pragmata second half.
Oh, well, you said later. Okay, no, I thought you meant like late 2026. No, yeah,
No,
April or May makes sense.
Like Pragmata's probably late, and then you'd have your Monster Hunter expansion somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's probably it. No, I mean, but yeah, Capcom's 2026 is very strong right now. Bop, what about you? What's your highlight?
Ooh, oh god, this is a crazy one. Actually, is it this one? There's strangely a couple that it could be for me.
I mean, we'll do 2 highlights, so you could just say
No, I
the
know
whole
we're
thing.
doing 2, but I have more than 2, and I gotta figure out. Okay, I can bunch
But you
those
can
together.
you can do the 2 and then mention more highlights from there. That's fine.
No, for sure. I'm trying to think what. Okay, you know what? Yeah, it's got to be this one. Game of Thrones: War for Westeros, baby. Shout out Fusion. We're finally getting somewhat of a decent Game of Thrones game, so it seems. I know we didn't see any gameplay in the trailer, but on their Steam page, they at least had one screenshot of kind of the UI and the battle systems, and I'm like, oh, okay. It's
is it not an RTS?
No, it is, but like,
Oh, okay.
but like it actually in the trailer we saw nothing. It was all CGI, whatever. At least in the on the Steam page, there was like a little bit more of the game. And I do love the idea. Like I will very occasionally play like a Civ or a Crusader Kings or a game like that. I really don't. It's not really my vibe. But you give me Game of Thrones, and it's like, no, I can be the Nightwalkers and like run shop, or I could be. There's so many factions you could probably choose from between, like Winterfell and the Starks, or the Baratheons and Riverrun, or Storm's End, I should say, or the Tullys and Riverrun, or King's Landing. I'm trying to think of all the families. The Lannisters.
You are speaking Spanish to me.
Yeah, you got the Essos people, with the Targaryens, and
you made up Targaryens. No, that's a lie. That's not
Daenerys.
real.
How do you
Daenerys Targaryen. That's
I don't know. I don't know how you don't
recognize.
recognize that one.
Yeah.
That's the
fuck
name.
off, bench. No, you don't.
That's the name.
No, that is
that's the name.
The House of the Dragon is literally about the Targaryens, which is the prequel show.
Yeah, like I
on
watched
right now on HBO.
House of the
I'm
Dragon.
just saying that's the out of all the names I could make up, that's the least made up one. Anyway,
okay, fair enough.
I just really love the idea of like kind of playing out those fantasies in my head of like, oh man, what if this happened in the show instead of that? Or, oh, how would history be different if these guys, were to take over? And again, this is still my imagination running wild, but like, we've been asking for Game of Thrones fans have been asking for some sort of video game that isn't a shitty mobile port or a Telltale game. Like, we just want something to sink our teeth into. And I think it always had to be real-time strategy just because of the base of the game. And it sounds like from all accounts that this could finally be that game. And I am hoping and praying that it is, because I think it'll be a lot of fun if that's true.
Yeah, no date for it, just 2026. You'd hope it's kind of far along. It feels weird that they're kind of capitalizing on the Game of Thrones IP after it ended.
So far long after it ended. Like, what, that ended in like 2018, 2019?
Yeah, 2019, I think.
Yeah, it's insane that we're finally getting something of note 6 years later.
Yeah, it's you definitely gotta wait for the next book, which should be out soon.
Yeah, yeah, right there with SilkSong.
Yeah, SilkSong actually has a chance of coming out. But yeah, I'm happy for you, Bop, and Fusion and Jack. I think those are the only Game of Thrones
Colin?
fans. And Colin's weird. He likes everything.
Okay.
Uh, I guess yeah, that's your first highlight. Okay, my second highlight. I gotta shout out Mina the Hollower for Jack especially. I'm very very excited for this. Yacht Club Games is a great developer. I love Shovel Knight. So to basically get kind of a Game Boy Color Zelda Oracle of Ages type spiritual successor, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm really into the pixel art. Very excited for that. I like just the tone of it. So yeah, very excited. I want to see more. I'm kind of in that point now where I'm like, okay, give me like kind of a gameplay demonstration of like a dungeon, and I want to know what the moment to moment loop is. But October 31st finally got a date, which kind of a perfect Halloween game there. Bench, what's your second highlight?
Has to be Stranger Than Heaven. Finally, Project Century got a date. Now I'm pretty sure just
Did it get
general
a date?
feelings. Oh, not a date. It got a name. It got a name.
Oh, gotcha.
I think this is the Judgment Team. I think that's my
You'd have to
assumption that this would be.
assume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta be.
I mean, I do adore Judgment so much. Like Judgment 1 and 2 are some of my like not favorite games ever, but RGG standouts. I really love those games. So to see this, and I didn't pick up on it until a day later that the fact is that it really is probably taking place over a century. Like it's like the first trailer was 1915, the second one is the 1940s, and it seems like the
I
same
love
guy.
it,
So
dude.
probably there's the vibes, and it looks like there's some like choice and consequence. Maybe is what they kind of teased. Yakuza games, I don't think have ever really had that. And I just think this looks like a completely different RGG thing, but it's just also them, so I'm very excited.
The 1940s Japan look is so fucking cool to me that I'm like, hell yeah. You could have the whole game set here and I'm in. Yeah, I'm really into this as well. I I think the combat actually looks a lot cooler than usual Yakuza combat, where that's a lot more beat 'em up. This one seems a lot more methodical, closer to like a Sleeping Dogs, which gets me more excited. I'm very curious to see more about it. It seems to be, they didn't give us a date, but I'm assuming this is like 2026, maybe later in the year. Uh, Very interested. The RGG, I mean, they're pumping stuff out because they're also working on that Virtual Fighter, and you'd have to assume whatever the next Yakuza game they're also working on. Very talented team over there. Bob, I know you're a Yakuza guy. You into this?
Yeah, and honestly, for me, it's always that struggle that I know Bench has too, where every time I see a cool Yakuza game, I'm like, wow, that's cool. Boy, do I still have a lot of games I want to play in that franchise before I want to get there. But with something like this, it's like, wow, that's cool. And there's no pressure for me to have to
Yep.
play a bunch of other games before that. I can just go straight in. Granted, I never got around to Judgment, but I've always heard great things. To me, this game struck me as like almost like a Japanese LA noir. And I think that's kind of a really cool. Obviously, Judgment is obviously like it's similar to that as well. But yeah, I think this looks really really cool. I can't wait to see more. And yeah, RGG is just one of those studios, man, that they just keep pumping out seemingly bangers. And
Mm-hmm.
they're definitely one of the better companies to root for.
Yeah, they're doing amazing things over there. I'm very happy to see what they've been able to do because they're a very talented team. Um, what's it called, Bob? Your second highlight.
So thank God Bench mentioned that one because that was going to be one for me. So now I'll do a little 2-for-1 here.
I like it.
Lego showed up big time at Summer Games Fest for me because we had Lego Voyagers and Lego Party. Both I think are going to be fantastic games. I genuinely excited for. Lego Voyagers was kind of the It Takes Two, where you got two blocks and you're moving around on one screen and you're solving puzzles together. It'll be like a little co-op puzzle game. It sounded like it had the same mechanic that Hazelight has, where you get a buddy pass, so only one person needs to buy the game. Um, And I think I'm glad more games are doing that. And yeah, I think this is perfect for Lego. Like you just
Mhm.
watch the trailer and it's like, oh yeah, roll around and like create a bridge or like solve all these different puzzles while using Legos and building and creating things. It's like, yeah, this is perfect. This is the exact kind of game that they should be making, and I'm glad they are. So I can't wait to play this. And then Lego Party, it like I know there have been Mario Party competitors in the past, but none of them
Crash
have.
Bash,
Yeah, Crash Bash, Nick, or
Sonic
SpongeBob,
Shuffle.
Sonic Shuffle, SpongeBob Lights Camera Action,
Yeah,
um,
there's just not. They're not good.
Fusion
It's usually Mario
Frenzy.
Party.
Yeah,
Oh
it
man, Fusion Frenzy, what a name.
there's not a lot of like ones that stand test of time. I know like my friends like to play Pummel Party on Steam, and I'm like, yeah, this game sucks. Uh, And I and it feels like Lego Party is finally it feels a lot like it could contend with Mario Party because it's a known IP. The mini games genuinely looked fun. It seemed like they have the kind of board game crazies that you'd want out of it. And it's going to be crossplay, so it's not like, oh, you need a Switch for this. Like, no, you could be on anything. You could be on Switch. You could also be on PC. You could be on Xbox. So you're gonna be able to play with more of your friends without having to feel guilty. Because like I know I'm not gonna be able to play Mario Party Jamboree TV with my friends unless they're over at my place because not and a lot of them are getting Switch 2s and even less of them are getting cameras. So
Mhm.
it'll be nice to get a party game that seemingly looks good. I have a lot of faith in what they're doing, so hopefully it pans out. But yeah, weirdly strong showing from Lego.
Yeah, really, honestly. Yeah, overall, I mean, I'm kind of into that Lego Party game. Voyagers looks really cool. I'm actually super into that one. But I respect the Lego Party pick because that's like you're right. There aren't enough Mario Party clones. Maybe because like I feel like it was like a really good void they could have filled in like the 2010s when Mario Party was really shitty.
Yep.
But I guess they just never went through on it. So hopefully, because like there's a lot of like party games, but there's not a lot of like Mario Party specifically. You go on a board, you play mini games.
Right.
So if Lego Party's a banger, hopefully that works out. I'm curious if have they said pricing at all? Like if it's free to play?
I doubt it's free to play. I'm almost for
Mm.
sure it's going to be like 60, $70.
Yeah, 60 feels like a bit much for a party game, especially when so many multiplayer games are free. But I
See
don't know,
what it
maybe I'm
says on
overthinking it.
Steam. Nothing yet on Steam as far as price. If I find something, I'll let you know.
If it's 60, how do you think you'll be able to convince your friends to get it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
wait.
always the tough part
Oh
with
wait a
games.
second. Hold on. Oh no, that's Voyagers. Damn it. Because
Right.
I thought they were doing the buddy pass for this too, but it looks like it's just for Voyagers.
Gotcha. Buddy Pass feels perfect for a game like that.
Correct, yeah.
Let's get into lowlights. Now, Bench already went over like a lot of them, but I okay. So before we get into lowlights, actually, I just want to talk about what I effectively call a midlight. I refer to this as 6 out of 10 games that got twos that really didn't need them. And specifically, I want to shout out Mortal Shell 2, Code Vein 2, and Atomic Heart 2. None of those
Yeah.
games needed a 2. None of those games. Mortal Shell, that was a really crappy Souls like. Code Vein, another pretty crappy Souls like. And Atomic Heart, I think Atomic Heart probably has the most like chance of doing something cool, but again, I just wasn't big on the first one. I don't really understand why. I guess I kind of understand with Mortal Shell and Code Vein. Souls likes are very popular right now, and I think these companies are like, maybe we could try to get a sequel out of there. But man, it was that funny thing during the Code Vein trailer that started was like, "Is this Tails?" And then it was like, "Please don't be Tails."
Yeah.
I really hope that game looked ugly as sin, but the original did too. So yeah, I don't know. I think Souls likes are very popular nowadays, so I'm not too surprised. But it is that thing of like, damn, man, like FromSoft and like Liza P, they really are just the best at it. And I'm like, I want more companies to be kind of like actually really, really trying with these Souls likes because it feels like we get like once in a while, like, oh, this is actually a banger, and then just a sea of like bland nothingness. It's just Mortal Shell. Like that's what you start the show with. It's just really funny. Low light wise though, I need to just low light though on stage interviews. Bench mentioned this earlier, but like I don't need to see Kojima come on stage and talk about Death Stranding 2, say nothing, and then show a cutscene in a game that's coming out in 2 weeks. I don't need to see any more of that game. And the same goes for the IO guy who came out on stage and talked, what was it, about Hitman World of Assassination plus 007 and also a Mind's Eye Hitman collab. It's like, what? No, why do you need to be on stage for that? It's like, yeah, I like Mads Mikkelsen. It's cool that there's a collaboration, but you don't really need to go on stage and effectively say nothing for 10 minutes, or not 10 minutes, that's too much. 5 minutes. It just kind of feels like a weird show pace breaker in my opinion. But yeah, that's just my low light specifically. Bench, what about you? You already shouted out a
the
ton.
entire show, but I do think it's a low light, but I want to know how much Splitgate 2 paid to be there. Because they were at the end of the show and had an on-stage presence. I'd like to know that number.
Splitgate 2, I mean, that guy is a low light of a person. That guy's weird. I don't. He just said a whole lot of nothing, and then proceeded to say it's like we're making FPS games great again. And then you play Splitgate 2, and it has like $80 battle passes. Like, well, you're the problem.
He was going after like COD and Battlefield and stuff for like their microtransactions. Like, buddy, you're not any better. Like, look in a mirror.
Exactly. You're free to play, and you're doing all this too. It's like, oh god, it's weird. The guy's really weird, and also he had a really stupid hat on. Effectively a parody hat of something that's like, okay, no one cares anymore, man. It's not even funny. Yeah, that's a good low light. Bench. That guy's weird. Bob, what about you?
I mean, we've already kind of danced around it, but like, we did not need a Death Stranding 2 anything at this event, let alone a cutscene of nothing relevant seemingly, and like even the people who have played the previews are like, oh, this is like actually kind of like a spoiler. I haven't even seen this and I played 30 hours of the game. It's like, great, that's encouraging. And then to have like Kojima out there and it's like, oh, it's his first time at the Game Awards. It's like, cool. What? Why? Like, the game comes out in 2 weeks, guys. Like, come on. So
I think
it's got to be that.
I think he was here because they're doing the Los Angeles show on maybe is that tonight, I think, and they guess, well, if he's here, then we got to do something.
I know,
so they whipped
but
up something crap.
Okay, but it's weird though because like last SGF, like Hidetaka Miyazaki was there, but he was in the crowd. Like you don't need to bring Kojima on stage just because you're friends with him. It's like,
but that's what he's doing.
It's weird. It's so fucking weird.
Bob's Game of the Year, ill.
I really like how that game looks, but I'm also like, it's a bit too much for me. And I like horror games, but I'm like, it's a little too like kind of not gore. Like,
yeah, it's a lot.
It's vomit horror. That's kind of what I call it. Which I'm like, I'm not into that personally, but it's visually really cool. A couple things I just want to shout out real quick. Felt That Boxing was one that I was really into, kind of this Unreal Engine 5 puppet game. Very impressive stuff, and I really like how it's basically Punch Out. Which, listen, I'll take a new Punch Out in any form, and it looks visually very striking. And then I also want to shout out. I want to point out Dune Awakening. That trailer was so fucking long. Like, I went to use the restroom in the middle of it, and I came back and it was still going. How long was it for you guys? Because I feel like I was there for only like
I'm interested in the game, so like I still like I really don't think I'm gonna get it, but I still am like interested enough to be like, okay, show me what you got. But yeah, it's another one where it's like it's coming out this week and it's this long. That's crazy.
And then just one. The Killer N, the Square Enix game that apparently the day before there was a rumor that it was a Foam Stars level announcement from Square Enix.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, maybe it's cool, like a social deduction game, but I'm like, God, it looks ugly. Like, I'd just rather play Among Us. I really
I'm
hate how this
surprised
looks.
this wasn't Bench's low light because again, he got duped seeing Square, and then it's like, wait, what?
No,
No,
I
Square was at
knew
the
that
end
it
of the
was a
trailer.
phone. No, I didn't. I didn't care for it much, but also it didn't disappoint me because I mean, if we didn't get Tactics, or if
Yeah, that would have
FF9
been
didn't show up, like it would have. I would have been a little
That's fair.
upset, but no, it's. I got at least one thing from them that I wanted, and I'm playing a Square game currently, so I can't be too upset.
The Cube, which is also from. Dude, by the way,
Shout out.
Mudfish had 3 games here. The
Money,
Cube
money,
is
money.
their MMO game. Man, sure, I guess that was the most like sure, I guess trailer I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, was Xbox funding them and giving them money a mistake? Because this is what we're getting now.
I don't know, man, because it's
Yeah,
like
I say that
I,
jokingly, but it's like, damn.
like Mudfish is weird. I really didn't like Atomic Heart, but like I know some people really did. If they can make the sequel good, and like if ill works out, and this MMO, whatever the fuck they're doing, maybe they're actually kind of cooking. But right now they're just kind of like a whatever developer. Deadpool VR. It's cool that they're still very much supporting VR in a big way, but I just can't care about Deadpool at all. So this doesn't really get me excited. VR correspondent Bob, did this do anything for you?
It did actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
I actually really think a Deadpool game would get me back in the VR because that's not your generic like action superhero like what you would get out of VR. I think having it be Deadpool, you can play a lot of like I think there's going to be a lot of fourth wall breaking stuff in that game that can only be done in VR that I think will be
Yeah.
really fucking cool. So I am actually keeping an eye on that one because I think that could be good. But also I cannot believe that was Neil Patrick Harris. That
Yeah,
was the
very
funniest
impressive.
part of that whole thing. It's like, wait, what?
Way better than Ryan Reynolds, so I'll take it.
Damn.
And what's it called? Finally, bought Wu Tang. That Wu Tang Clan game finally getting
Yes.
revealed. Weird, not published by Xbox anymore. Which I'm curious if maybe it went through some weird kind of licensing, or they just Xbox didn't want to be publishing it anymore. But yeah, very cool to finally get it revealed, and it looks sick.
I don't know what
Mhm.
happened with that one. It seems like maybe there was a contract in place and then it fell through. And because like the devs making it, it's like a solo published thing. So I think somewhere along the lines something
I mean,
must have happened.
I
But
assume the Wu Tang Clan is like helping fund it.
oh yeah, and they definitely have
yeah.
enough money too. And
I mean,
I'm
if I had,
glad it's not exactly like it doesn't look like the Def Jam games from back
Yeah,
in the day.
that's what I was thinking it would be. So I'm very
Right, that's
excited.
what everyone figured, and it's cool that they're going for their own kind of style there.
I mean, the theory is originally Xbox Money had an exclusive, but if they're not doing exclusives anymore, and you can just self-publish it and take all of that and not have to do that, maybe they see that as more appealing.
I don't, because I think even then they would still do like Game Pass or something. So I
Mm.
don't think I buy that specifically, but I mean it's possible.
Possible, very much. Oh, also, real quick with the Deadpool game, I forgot to mention they made a SilkSong joke, which apparently the
Yes.
SilkSong devs didn't know about that. So just like this is getting comical, and we'll talk about it at the Xbox showcase. But it's just,
I mean, yeah, if we walked out of this weekend with a Silk Song date, we would have all had a hearty laugh at that joke.
yeah.
Still
But man, it stings.
No, it's just a chuckle.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, don't worry. I had a belly laugh earlier when Silk Song showed up.
Oh, same, trust me.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. Wolf, before we move on, I did also want to quickly shout out Mio, the other
Yeah, that looks cool.
Metroidvania. Looks kind of sweet. We kind of talked about Mass PI negatively. I do think that was a positive being there. Talked about me in a shout out.
I like the
What?
trailer for Mouse. No. I really like it. I'm so excited for that game, but it's almost like hey, it exists. It's Troy Baker voicing whatever. Still no date, which I'm like, I'm a little disappointed without a date.
In that one, I think it's just like indie dev being indie dev. Like
Yeah.
it is very similar to Silksong, where it's like I'm sure they thought this game would be out a lot sooner than it was, but they just can't like, you
Yeah.
know, they got some roadblocks more
Probably
than they
scope
thought.
expanded too when like the excitement for it grew.
Sure. Arc Raiders getting a date, October 30th.
Way later
Right?
than I expected.
Yeah, and no playtest. Everyone thought it would either be shadow dropped or there'd be a beta this weekend. So that was kind of that part
kinda.
sucked, but it is cool that we know for sure when that's coming out. Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny, I thought looked really cool. I'm not gonna lie. I know we saw 5 seconds of it, but
Yeah.
like a plucky squire slash like drink box kind of like game with Nick characters. I'm like, you know what? I could get
Oh.
behind this.
I didn't realize the drink box game got revealed here. I forgot
Yes,
what it was
Blighted.
called. Yeah, I'm not into it. I mainly art style wise. I don't know what it is. I really dislike the art style for Blighted. At least like gameplay.
Yeah,
I,
that was
I
going to be the
nobody
next
seems
one I brought up. I'm kind of with you, and more so, I really liked Guacamelee. I probably played about 5 hours and Nobody Saves the World, and I'm like, I'm good. Like,
Oh,
it's
really?
not
I was
really
really
like
into it.
it didn't catch me, and this looks more like that, and I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
maybe a review or two might change my opinion. I still want to
Apparently it's
keep
a
an open mind.
Metroidvania.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't
It's
the
weird.
biggest fan of that one.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was a little disappointing to see that from Drinkbox after waiting so long. But yeah, that's Summer Game Fest. Hopefully next year is better.
And an hour
Final.
shorter.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my god. Final showcase is the Xbox Game Showcase. Very, very high expectations put upon this after how strong the last year's showcase was. And I think there's definitely some mixed opinions. I think overall people are solid and like positive on this. I'm curious to hear what y'all overall think of this presentation. This was a 1 hour show followed by an hour of the two Obsidian games, Outer Worlds 2 and Grounded 2. Uh, let's start with myself. I thought this was a pretty solid presentation. I'm kind of in the mind that like I really liked the last year's presentation, and I think this one kind of gave me what I was looking for, which was like kind of cool stuff in between certain devs. I didn't get Toys for Bob. I'm still waiting for that eventually, hopefully. But overall, I think I got some really big looks on games that like I didn't think would be here in a major way. But the fact that Clockwork Revolution got such a big look at it, that's obviously my highlight. I'll talk about that in a bit. I thought it was a very solid presentation. I'm very happy with what Xbox was doing here. I think I'd probably lean towards a 8 out of 10, 7.5, somewhere around there. Solid, very good. I think it's kind of hard to meet the high expectations of last year, but I think for the most part they did what they needed to, which was basically saying, "Hey, we still got some cool games, like but next year's presentation is probably going to be the one that's like really really big," which very exciting to see what that would become. Bench, how are you feeling?
I'm at about a 7.5. And honestly, I think what this show has is high quality. The pacing was atrocious though. Like I think this could have been an 8 or 9 show if it was paced better. Cuz like if you look at our list, the first 10 games, if you space those out throughout the show, you have a banger show. Like there was my
Mm-hmm.
biggest issue with the show was for like 45 minutes after Clockwork Revolution, there was nothing. Nothing interesting was going on at all for me. Like I was zoned out, and then it picked up with Persona 3, Persona 4, and then it ended on a wet fart. So like I think if you pace the show out differently, I think you could have made it something a lot better than what you leave after it.
Fair enough. How are you feeling, Bob?
Yeah, I think fair points from both of you, and yeah, I'd have to give it an 8. I think it was again a reload year, and there weren't any like crazy big reveals. But at the same time, I thought there were a lot of great updates on a lot of games I'm looking forward to, and a lot of interesting reveals, even though they weren't maybe like the big heavy hitters that I want them to be. But I just feel like Xbox has nailed this formula. I disagree a little bit. I agree and disagree a little bit with what Bench is saying because, yeah, I think they could have spaced out a couple of those games a little bit more, but I think there was a lot of stuff in the middle that I was also excited for. So, that's more of an opinion. But Yeah, no, I think it was an 8. I thought it was really good. And the best, like, I don't think it would hold up against the recent year's Xbox showcases, but against this year's E3 SGF showcases, I think it was easily the best one.
Fair enough. Let's get into our highlights and lowlights. First highlight for me, I'm gonna have to obviously I'm gonna scoop it up right now. Clockwork Revolution. I am
Nice.
so in on what this game is. I was kind of said this in chat. It looks like BioShock, but it has the tone of a Fallout, which is exactly what I want. It's everything I desire. Western RPG, I love those, and the choice and consequence is very clearly in display here. Definitely what they're kind of like pointing out is like, hey, check out like all the different systems that we have here. The fact that they showed such extensive gameplay. Only disappointment, not even a year is kind of weird. Maybe it is 2026 and they're just kind of like being cheeky, like, oh, wait for it. But I'm very, very excited. I want to know more about this game immediately. It's In Exile, I've always heard amazing things about. I've always heard Wasteland 3 is a phenomenal game. I want to get to it one day. So to just see like, hey, this is kind of their coming out party, and especially like when they show off the timed like manipulation stuff near the end. God, dude, just that was the game of the show where I'm like, yeah, I need this immediately, right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Wolf. I played about 10 hours of Wasteland 3 co-op with my buddy, and we kind of fell off, and I was like, well, I don't want to restart. But it was clear in those 10 hours because those games play closer to like I don't want to say Baldur's Gate because it's a little more real time. Actually, no, it is turn based, but it's more like guns and
Yeah.
stuff rather than Dungeons and Dragons. But like the choice based system in that game is some of the most like in depth I've ever seen. And that's why I bring up the Baldur's Gate comparison because yeah, it's crazy what they were able to do in that. So I have no doubt that they are at like, as far as like first person, RPGs go, at an Obsidian level choice and consequence. Like I think we're absolutely going to get that with this game, and they already, like you said, showed it in the trailer. And it looks really good. I love the art style. I agree 100%. I think the tone, like between the love child of like a BioShock and Fallout game, is exactly what I
Yeah.
think a lot of people will be looking for. And yeah, I continue to be blown away by this game. I know it's a bummer we didn't get a year, which makes me think they're debating between 26 and 27.
Yeah.
But I'm happy anytime that game shows up because it looks incredible.
Yeah, I agree. I think in 2023 when it first showed up, it was definitely one of my games of that show, and once again, they just knocked it out of the park. It's definitely a different tone than that first trailer, but it's a tone that's very interesting. And seeing how like the choice and consequence of it all is very good, and then combat looks good, and the gameplay, yeah, like with the time mechanics and all that, I'm in.
Oh yeah. No, I think we all agree. This game looks awesome, and I'm very, very excited to see more of it. Bench, what's your highlight?
Persona 4, the 43 seconds we were shown was all that I needed to feast for this weekend. I'm just glad it was announced. I do think it's a 2027 game, which is unfortunate. I think it's a little farther out than we all probably thought it would be. But I mean, I do like a lot of people wished it was called Rewind, which that's also a cool name. But Revival, like a TV revival, is a pretty cool name. So I'm pretty sold on this game. I mean, I've only played 10 hours of Persona 4, but now I know I'll wait for this. And what they showed did look very good. I like the art style. I know that's controversial apparently. But I will say, I'm calling out the voice actors because I think what they did was actually really shitty. Now that it's actually, because I didn't think it was getting announced, so it wasn't a big deal when they were all like saying, "Oh, I'm not in Persona 4
That is
remake."
so weird. I thought it was a
I think it's,
setup, but then like no one else tweeted, so it's like,
I
oh, I
think
think they're
it's,
just stupid.
I mean, I think it's extremely unprofessional, especially from someone like Yuri. I think
Yeah.
just a big whiff by them and very bad look because it's a week away getting announced. Like I think it's just incredibly shitty to go. You just leaked it because you were pissed. Like, and they can get away with it because of their like
Yuri can
status.
get away with it. The other two, they're not nearly as like popular.
Yeah, but
I think they get blacklisted. Yuri is Spider-Man, so I think he's fine.
I think it's just so shitty just to go out of your way and say I'm not in this. They didn't ask
No,
me.
I'm with you. It's really weird.
And
To
also,
play
like,
devil's advocate for a second, though, we don't know the story, so
it's true.
and to be fair, I don't think there's much that could justify what they did. But on the off chance that like Atlas really did screw them over on this for whatever reason, I'm like not willing to like totally take a stance on it just because we don't know anything. But I totally think you're valid in that, because if it really was like, hey, they just didn't want to bring him back and like try to be amicable, and then they do this, it's like, yeah, dude, that's really not cool.
And like another thing was, like they replaced everyone in Persona 3. Obviously, they were going to do it in 4. And I do like another like voice acting thing is we're not talking about much news, but apparently the Peach voice actor was replaced and she was out there being upset. And I agree that it's like you can be upset, but I also think Nintendo's gone on the way of replacing their voice actors recently, so I don't think it was much of a surprise.
They straight up didn't tell her until the game came out, though. That was really scummy.
That's
completely different.
story. Yeah,
Because she waited
Yeah,
until the
but-
game was out. That was really scummy.
But I think like specifically what those three did, especially like Yuri, who is such like a herald in the voice acting center, just completely out of left field for him, in my opinion.
I will
But
say,
Persona 4 looks great.
Bench, it's
yeah.
your
Hey,
highlight.
confirmed. You can walk down the street. Let's go.
I will
I mean,
say, Bench, it's your highlight. I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, I know it's your low light, but I think I just wanted to know it exists.
Here's
Like
my
that
thing.
was the main thing.
It's my low light, not because it's a thing, but because I hate how it looks. Maybe it's early.
Oh,
I hate how it looks. It looks terrible. It's just looks like effectively, Bop. You know those videos of like Mario 64 and Unreal Engine 5? And people
don't be that person. No,
Nintendo, hire this man.
Oh
That's what it looked like. It looked like Atlas, hire this man. It looks terrible. I hate how it looks. I want to hope that it's just because it's super early in development, but it has this insane bloom filter on it that just looks
it looks the
disgusting.
same as 3.
No, it does not. Look at 3
Yes,
again.
it does.
I promise you, look at 3 again, they look completely different. This 3 looked way better.
The one thing I will say, 'cause I really don't have a horse in this race, I do think it looks a little too smooth and a little too bloomy. But it is very early from what we saw clearly, so there is still time to fix that.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, listen, I'm not judging it fully because it's not. It seems to be super early. That's like a 27 title, but I don't like how it looks. Just I'm not.
I have no issues, but I'm also like very hyped. So
I also am like 2 remakes before 6 is a little insane. Like, come on, guys.
We talked about this last night.
Yeah, that's off the air. I got to talk about it on the air.
Yeah.
I think having 2 remakes and a whole ass like other Persona-esque game with Metaphor right before even an announcement or a tinkling of 6 is insane. I don't know, tinkling. That was the first.
That was a good word.
But like just the fact that like Persona 6 is like the game I want the most, and at this point, I'm surprised if I get it before. I'm surprised if the time between Persona 5 and 6 is more than the time between GTA 5 and 6. Which is just like that should not be a thing I say. So
I mean,
I'm really annoyed. I hope that Persona 6 is at least announced soon. I don't even need it to release soon. Like it's probably gonna be a 27 title, whatever. But just announce it already. I just want to know straight out of the horse's mouth. It's like, yes, Persona 6 is real. This is what we're going for vibes wise, all that type of thing.
remember when Dark Thoughts 6 was this year?
What happened to him, man? I miss him.
But no, I definitely can understand, but also I kind of also disagree because I do think what they're going for is Persona 5 got a lot of people in, and they want them to play these classic games because a lot of people honestly like some of them better than 5. And I played 3 first with the remake, and I'll finish 4 first with the remake. So I'm glad they're doing these, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm curious to see what the timeline is of these Persona releases. I forget. Studio Zero, has there been anything they said after Metaphor, I'm assuming they're going to do like a royal thing for that game. So yeah, I wonder what that whole thing is about. I don't think they've said much though, so maybe
They
they're
haven't
just
said
gonna reload
anything,
it.
which honestly, yeah,
Bob, what
there's
is
some things in
your?
there that
Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
there's some things in Metaphor that very clearly could be a royal edition, which is unfortunate.
Bob, what is your highlights?
I mean, with a bullet, Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah.
I was really, and Ben just heard me talk about this. Like, I didn't really watch a lot of the IGN first coverage. I've kind of been like, ever since it was announced and we saw the first trailer, I'm like, okay, it looks good, but like, what are we doing differently? Like, what is going to differentiate this game and make it earn the 2, right? And I think, obviously that first trailer, I was like, okay, this is good, but then I'm honestly really glad we got that deep dive at the end. I think they totally justified it, because I remember at the end, or when it got announced, everyone's like, wow, Outer Worlds 2 is the deep dive after the showcase. Okay, I don't know if they necessarily need that. Granted, help pad that out too, but I think one, it was a great showcase of what is making this game different and why it personally made me so much more excited for it. But also, shout out Ben Schwartz, man. That was so funny. Like, just an Obsidian move to be like, oh, we know you guys have been watching this style of presentation for the last few years now. We're gonna be the first one to have some fun with it and like really kind of make you interested and keep watching it. He was a riot. I thought all of his stuff was super funny. But to go back to the game, I just feel like, what was that?
He's going to be in the game. He has to be.
Yeah, maybe. I'd be okay with that. I'd like to see Mark again. But I just really like how they are, they talked about
Wait, he was in the
refining
first
this.
game?
Was he?
Oh, you said you'd like to see Mark again.
Yeah, from yet today. Like, Mark, because his name was
Matt, you
Mark.
gotta let him finish a sentence.
Yeah, hey man, I let you talk during Persona 4. You gotta let me cook here.
Damn.
But I think the talking about the refining the skill trees, because they're like, hey, we know the skill tree was all over the place last time. We kind of refined it down. We're taking the perk system from hilariously Fallout New Vegas of all games, 15 years old, and it's still being inspired.
Saying the word Fallout New Vegas was like, damn.
So good. And then talking about how they're adding to the gunplay. There's so many new different types of guns and cool just little things. The floss system has been more fleshed out and is funny. They're even like amping up like responses for like being dumb or like the different skill based that was the other thing I was really impressed by was because they talk about it the whole time. They're like, we really want to emphasize how many different ways you can approach something. And I think the small thing of like, oh, a mechanic, if they see a busted door, can pull out their freaking 1950s like oil splotcher and splotch it down the door and bang it once with a hammer, and now all of a sudden the door opens. And it's like, yeah, of course it's a little ridiculous, but like I love that shit. It's not just oh, you're strong so you can beat it down, or oh, you have dynamite and you can explode it. It's like, no, we're starting to think more outside of the box. And then they kind of talked about that first tentpole decision in the game, which is the bridge, which to me seems a lot like what was it, Greenpeace, Green Walker, something green, the first city in Outer Worlds 1, right, where you make that first decision. That's what it feels like the bridge is. And they showed it's like you can persuade your way to get over. You can kill everyone. You can sneak your way through to activate the bridge and then sneak over the bridge. You can have abilities to where it's like, oh, you can, if you're immune to poison, you can just walk over and not have to do anything. Or you can have double jump and traverse over. Or you can, for some reason, sacrifice one of the companions you just met just to get across it. It's like, yes, give me more options, because that's what made the first game so good. And to add even more to that, I'm all in. Like, I really do think that obviously, because I know Bench asked about this earlier, this is Obsidian's A team. They've clearly taken a lot of inspiration and have applied everything that both Avowed has learned, Grounded has learned, like their whole studio has learned and really making this a sequel worth playing and producing, and I think they did an excellent job. And just to get ahead of it now, I think this game will be worth $80.
You brought it up first. I mean, we'll get to it in a
I
second.
mean,
Punch, how you
yeah,
feel?
I've been asking Bot periodically the past couple months, like, what are you feeling towards Outer Worlds 2? And it's always been, I think, lower than even me, because Outer Worlds 1 is like a very specific case where like I played it so long ago. I honestly didn't play games much back then, but I like actually got into them much, and I don't remember much from the game, but I remembered I really enjoyed it. So that's always kind of led this hype cycle. I mean, it showed so well today. Like, I'll be there day one. Like, just everything they showed, the gameplay wise, like the kookiness, the choice and consequence, everything was just very good.
Yeah, like the first Outer Worlds well enough. I never played the DLC, which Bob has been
Same.
hounding on me for.
So
But
good.
what's it called? I look at this game and it does very much have a lot of the Obsidian mantras that is really cool. Just the writing, the dialogue, the choice and consequence, and the build variety, the build crafting looks a lot better. And I think the big thing that it seems like they're focusing on is making the combat better, which is by far the worst part of the first game. And it's like, hey, we're gonna go in and we're actually gonna make a combat system that's worth playing. And especially after Avowed's combat, I think if you just take a lot of the lessons learned there, hell yeah, I'm so into this game. I just don't think I'm in on $80, which was revealed earlier today. And I know you guys, it's fine with y'all, which fair enough, but I I just feel like $80 hurts this game more than helps, and maybe that's being negative. I get it, it's on Game Pass, that's the obvious like seller for it. But at the end of the day, Xbox is everywhere now, and Game Pass isn't on everywhere. Specifically PlayStation 5 and Steam, which there's no Game Pass on Steam, right?
No.
There's Xbox Game Pass, so like if you have a PC, you can use Game
Yeah,
Pass,
but
but it's
like
not on Steam.
Steam specifically, yeah.
Correct.
But it's just a case of like I get that it's probably like you said, Bob, it's probably going to be worth $80. Like in terms of like the amount of replayability and hours you'll sink in, you will get your $80 worth out of the game. I just don't know if you could really ask that upfront cost for a lot of people, leading to it probably. I don't want to say this. It's like I don't know how it will do, and I don't want to like pocket watch and see. Oh, what will the game do? Before it's even out, I'm more interested in just the quality of the game, and I think the quality is gonna be there. I'm just a little worried for Obsidian's sake that if this game comes out at 80, not enough people are going to pick it up. But hey, maybe that doesn't matter. And it's like, no, we need the Game Pass engagement, and the Game Pass engagement is more than enough for what
I
this
mean,
title is gonna be.
I'll make a bold prediction. I think this is maybe the first, or the not the first, but like the first of this generation, and probably the 360 generation Xbox first party game that scores a 90 or above.
Forza, buddy.
Yeah, true.
Cars.
I
Just had that.
it's weird. I still don't think it can hit a 90 just
I don't
because
think
I
so,
think
no.
that type of game just doesn't have that high of a ceiling. But
Doesn't
I
have
do,
RPG jankiness. Sorry for interrupting. It's just
no, you're
what
good.
you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think those games just have that high of a ceiling. But I would hope for like high 80s. I think an 88 or 86 to 88 is possible. It'll just really have to come down to execution. And like I know we've talked about like Game Awards. Thank God it'll be in the Game Awards nomination window. I don't
Oh, yeah, just
know if it'll
redo it.
show up there like specifically for Game of the Year. It would be cool if it did. I don't know how high I am in that regard. I just know for me personally, I cannot wait to play this game. And Wolf, to your point, like I totally don't begrudge. It's the same thing with Mario Kart World. I totally don't begrudge anyone for not wanting to pay $80 because they don't think this is the kind of $80 game they want to invest in, and that's totally fine. And I will be interested to see, like, I know I hate using this metric, but like it will be interesting to see like the Steam player count or like the PlayStation sales or like the MPD Circana charts, that next month to see like, especially we haven't really talked about it, but like the September October release schedule is absolutely insane. And really, for any of these games to be able to stand out, that will be really interesting to track.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a pretty insane release lineup just from all the major companies. It's getting to the point of like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a lot of sacrifices and like, oh, I'll probably play this next year type joint. And there's stuff earlier from the year that I still haven't played yet that I don't know if I'll be able to get to, considering just how crazy these next few months are for me specifically. But yeah, I don't know. I get what you're saying, Bob, about the $80. It's just it's one of those things of I guess it's just not accustomed to it. I will say the first thing I thought of when I saw the $80 price tag, my first thought was, oh man, Borderlands 4 is 100% going to be an $80 video game. It was that weird thing, Bob, when opening the eShop, and like it really hit me seeing Mario Kart World 79.99. It's like, god damn, that looks so big.
Right.
It's just funny. My next highlight, I mean, it's got to be Double Fine's game, Keeper. I am so into the vibe of this game where you're playing as a fucking lighthouse that is just goofy and also really interesting. I was reading the blog post and effectively they're like, hey, this is kind of like an adventure game, you know, like puzzle adventure game with what's it called, no dialogue, which I'm super into what they can kind of tell like that. It very much sounds like Inside vibes. I think Double Fine is an extremely talented studio. This looks to be almost like a I don't want to say a B team game, but like kind of like, hey, while the main like Psychonauts 2 development force is working on something, this is kind of something that like a small group of passionate developers within the team worked on. So I guess I am like, oh, okay, what's the next Tim Schafer game? I'm waiting for that very much. But I look at this and I'm like, hell yeah, this is kind of what I want from Double Fine. More stuff like this.
Surprisingly, it's not on. This is the only one I think not on PS5.
Oh, what? I'm out. Never mind. I'm not playing this.
Wait, what? Keeper?
Keeper's not on PS5.
Oh, I would
said
be
it's
shocked
probably
if that actually is the case.
It was
I
it
think
was the only one on their presentation with that PS5 logo.
I mean,
think
I
I
On
get
the
that.
website, it's not.
That would be shocking to me.
I assume it was a case that they weren't like when the kind of third party shift happened. They were still kind of late enough in development to not get a port ready. And that seems like
Yeah.
something they could do in quick port, like later in a couple months. I'll probably check it out still. Maybe load it up on Xbox.
hmm
But yeah, very very excited for that one. Bop, are you into it? I know you like Psychonauts too.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% down for Keeper. I really like Double Fine's energy. I think this is it's a vibes game for sure. Even more so than Psychonauts 2. And yeah, I'm totally down for. My only weird thing about that is we waited it looks good. Don't get me wrong. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, we really waited this long for like a vibes based
I
adventure game.
like I said, I think this is the side project. I think their main like Tim Schafer and that big boy team is still working on something. I think Barrett Courtney at kind of funny was kind of mentioning it's like they had something called like a Fortnite, not the game, the
Right.
actual word Fortnite, of basically like kind of a developer jam, and I think this probably was what came out of it. So
Sure.
I think the Tim Schafer joint is probably still cooking, and maybe we get a reveal of that next year.
hmm
Bench, what's your second highlight?
So just a quick shout out to the indie DLC. Excited for that. I didn't need to see much. I'm glad it got a date. But no, my actual highlight would be Ninja Gaiden 4. I think it looks really
Yeah.
good. The action, just the futuristic setting mixed with like Japanese, just everything that I want and like that kind of setting. Very interesting. The combat looks great. I'm just excited. Although it's in October, which is tough, but I really want to get that done by the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm super into that. October, very busy time, but I do love Ninja Gaiden enough that I'm probably gonna try to make time for it.
And it can't be that much. It can't be long either, and it's
Oh
not going to be
no,
like
it's probably like 10
yeah.
hours max.
Mhm.
Love Ninja Gaiden, and I think this just kind of is like exactly what I want out of it. And the fact that it's
Yep.
what was it, Team Ninja and Platinum Games, which is just like hell yeah, my favorite things mashed together. Bob, what about you? Second highlight.
I'm surprised that Bench didn't go a different route, but we'll definitely talk about it in a second. My second highlight, because definitely Clockwork Revolution was and Keeper were two of my big ones.
Still yours.
But I gotta be honest, Mudang Two Hearts. I
Dude, I
was
was gonna bring it
really
up.
into that. Like
That looks sick. That's
it.
Korean.
No,
So
that didn't. I
yes,
didn't have any interest in that.
that's okay, Bench. We're talking about highlights.
Yeah, we don't care.
No,
Oh, no, I thought
I'll
you were
give.
talking about. You think I was going to say that? That's what I was.
No, you're good. No, there's a different game we got to talk about with you, but um, I really loved kind of how they presented this. I think it to me, I don't know, Wolf. I haven't played nearly as much of the franchise as you, but it did kind of feel like Korean Metal Gear a little bit in like some aspects.
It's Korean Splinter Cell. Let's not
Okay.
invoke Metal
Yeah.
Gear.
All right. Fair enough. But like the
I
them
get what you're
talking about
saying,
like
though.
being brainwashed, like more of the ideological stuff. I was like, oh wow, we're really
No,
getting
that's
like
fair. I get that.
deep
Yeah.
with this stuff. And I thought it was interesting because I forget exactly what the blurb said on their website afterwards, but you really are going to play as 3 different characters. So like one of them's a K-pop band member, which I think is
So
hilarious.
funny.
One is a soldier, a North Korean soldier who like I forget if he defected or he was like deployed over to South Korea, like because the whole point is that the war between North and South Korea is like over, and this is supposed to be like their Independence Day or whatever, and then all this shit breaks out, and then the last guy is gonna be like a terrorist who fights for like this rebel faction. And obviously somehow they're going to make these stories intertwine, but
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it definitely is like scratching that itch of like, yeah, we have not gone like a stealth based FPS in a while, and I really like how unique of an idea this is, especially like bringing in these different perspectives. And of course, we've seen a lot of Japan based games. Korea's still kind of like represented in that fashion,
Yeah.
and I'm totally down for that. And I think this is, something that is, I think, a great idea by Microsoft because this is so Microsoft coded, Xbox coded as a game. That I really hope that it actually turns into something and is not a repeat of I can't even. What was the? Oh my god!
Crossfire.
Yes, I hope this is not another Crossfire situation. I don't think it will be, but
I mean, Bob,
You mentioned it, dude. This is showing. So South Korea has been kind of on a tear lately. Liza P was phenomenal. Stellar Blade was phenomenal, and now like this game looks awesome. I'm like, damn, I'm like really paying attention to the South Korean development scene. It seems like a lot of like really young, aspiring game talent is starting to pop off over there. And South Korea always had a game development scene, but it was always kind of constricted to MMOs and I'll just say boring ass games. Now they're actually like doing these like big AAA at the very least like AA quality video games with the big console manufacturers, and it's leading to some really really cool shit. And I'm so excited for
Mhm.
just the South Korean development scene. It's like hell yeah, give me more stuff from there. But yeah, I'm really into that. I'm glad you shouted that out, Bob. I love a good stealth game. Let's talk about lowlights. I'm just gonna take it. I'm sorry. I know both of you probably would say Call of Duty Black Ops 7 ending the show is insane.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that trailer made me think it was something different. Where I'm like, oh, new IP. For some reason, I don't know why. I thought about Phantom Dust. Just
the
all these
Discord
like,
was throwing out a bunch of. We were going from Kojima to like all these random companies that we haven't heard
yeah.
from. With Benj was saying, "Is this Everwild? Is this what Everwild did?" Like it, we were all over the place on predictions.
Yeah, like Everwild, like the butterfly, and maybe like it goes into the screen, and you're like, Everwild is simulation. I don't know.
There was so many things at once. Like I'm like, man, this could be so much. And then the dude said Menendez, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Call of Duty. It's like, listen, Black Ops 6. I haven't played the campaign, but from what I heard, really strong campaign. And like, yeah, Black Ops 7, cool to have a sequel to Black Ops 2, which is like one of the best Call of Duty campaigns. You don't need to end the show with that. You can have your own event for it, or you could have it in the middle of the show. This is not a show closing announcement. It's Call of Duty. It happens every year. It's an annual franchise. It's not exciting. And also, here's the kicker: still coming out on PS4 and Xbox One,
Yeah,
which is
Yeah.
that's comical. That is just very very funny. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just cannot. I'm interested in the premise of it being a Black Ops 2 sequel, but like ending the show on it, and also they said it's a co-op campaign.
And the only other Call of Duty game that at least I remember having a co-op campaign was Black Ops 3. And that campaign sucked. So I'm really hoping that's not a repeat.
And also with this, like, it'd be different if it was just Call of Duty and they said that. But the trailer just built it up to something and it was then Call of Duty. Like, I don't understand how you go and don't know what you're doing and how it's an issue.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. It looked like it was going to be a new IP or something really interesting, and it's just like, listen, like it's probably going to be cool. I don't know, but I like Call of Duty well enough, but not enough for it to be the show closer when it's literally an annual franchise.
I think for me, this would have been actually a really good opener.
Yeah.
Like I thought that would have set a great tone. The problem is they opened with Call of Duty last year. Not to say that like they had to use it as a closer. I agree. Using this as a closer was dumb. And I wish they would have maybe put this in the middle to kind of juice up the middle of the show.
Mhm.
But like I guess the problem is what would you have put there instead? Because really Clockwork Revolution is the only thing I think you could have put there instead. And that one also closed the show 2 years ago. So I think they really ran into a problem of we have nothing else to show.
Yeah, but like I think you can close the show with something like Clockwork Revolution, considering how deep of a dive that was.
I agree. I don't think I think that would have been better, but also too when they're talking about like the 25 years of Xbox, and it's like here's a studio that's been or a franchise that has worked with Xbox for a long period of time. It's like again, I'm not excusing it because I do think it was bad, but it's like they kind of dug themselves into a hole that they could not get out of this year for that. And
Would you say it's a rake?
No, because I think like most people kind of were just like, all right, yeah, it's COD and moved on. Like, I don't think this will be a big deal at the end of the day.
Such a
But
cool
in
trailer,
but
man.
in the moment, yeah, it definitely was tough. I laughed personally. When I saw COD,
I
I'm like,
did too, bro.
that
It
is
was hilarious.
hilarious.
I was annoyed, but also dying of laughter. Like that's crazy that you
Yeah.
end on Call of Duty.
That shit was funny.
Betch, what's your low load?
Mhm. All the Bethesda Online shit. Like,
Oh my
have a
god.
separate event.
I'm with you.
It's bad. Like, you're adding fishing to Fallout 76, and you have like a 3-minute trailer of a dude in real life talking about it and having a bit.
It's one of those things where like they're able to justify it because of how much money those games make. But it's also like, are the fan bases to those games eagerly watching these presentations, wanting to see like specifically like,
Yeah.
give me the Fallout 76 update? No, they want to hear about a new Fallout game. You can just do a blog post and they will flock to it. You don't need to like spend a good amount of time in the presentation playing some song from the 80s in the case of the Elder Scrolls Online trailer, and then just go like, hey, here's a new expansion again. It's just not.
And also, like, they do like the different, like they say Bethesda world premiere. Like, you can't do that shit with the online stuff. Like,
Did they say world premiere with Bethesda? Because I'm pretty sure
I
they
think
just said Bethesda.
okay, but like,
some research.
but they said like Bethesda presents or whatever, and it's like
Correct.
you
Yeah.
can't do
They
that
said
with
it
those
was
two. You can't do that because people
You
are.
can.
Yeah.
They are Bethesda Studios. I'm sorry. I got to push back on this because they have been doing this for like ever with
I don't like
Sea of
it.
Thieves. I know you don't like it, but it's like this isn't a new thing. Like I know you guys aren't used to live service games over in the Sony and Nintendo world that actually get
Okay, let's calm
updated all
down.
the time. But
Okay,
like
listen,
I
Go
don't
ahead.
think like I think you only get one like big showcase a year. Like I think it's totally fine to update the fans of those games who are used to getting updates at these events for over half a decade at this point to give them more updates because otherwise they don't get them any other time of the year. And it's like sure you could do a blog post on them, but like I do like that they're still putting effort into them and they are caring about them even though they're not for me. But like I also know they're coming. Like when I see Bethesda, I'm like, give me 5 seconds because I've been faked out for the last 5 years on Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online. Like I know not to immediately expect something from Bethesda. So I just gotta push back on that.
But also, I think it also hurt this year that it was they spaced them out, but the things in between those space outs, I didn't find very good. So I think it definitely hit different. Like, oh, Bethesda's showing up with their online stuff, but the trailer before or after is appealing, so it's not a big deal. But I didn't get that this year. Last
You
year, I
didn't get
definitely
that.
got that.
But
Yeah.
Mudang Two Hearts was in the middle. There are no Ghosts at the Grand was in the middle. Planet of Lana was in the middle. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was in the middle. So again,
Man,
I'm sorry.
you gotta find more games, man.
That's
You're running
a
out of
personal
games.
choice,
Bob, listen. I can respect the other three, but you can't say no Ghost at the Grand. Like, you can't put that in there with the other three, Bob.
I thought it was
Can't
a
do
cool
that.
reveal.
I was just mad at the starting with a musical number, but it does look cool.
Like it does legitimately look like a cool puzzle game.
Yeah, no, for sure. Bob, you were right. It just said Bethesda Presents. No world.
If it said world premiere, I would totally be like, that's fucked up, and that's not like that's completely misleading the audience. But I'm pretty sure they just said Bethesda.
What were you going to tell me? Like, you were surprised that I didn't pick 10 minutes ago.
I thought you were gonna pick Beast of Reincarnation, our goats at Game Freak, coming to Xbox.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Like, what
God.
I just it looks too good. It looks too good. I can't.
I don't.
I can't play a Game Freak game if it looks that good.
I also have zero faith that it's got to run at 30. It's got to like. There's no way. There's no way.
Dude.
I refuse to believe that they're gonna make a good looking game that actually plays well. Because like the premise of it, again, this was another one that Bench thought looked like Everwild. I was kind of with them. I'm like, this can't be Game Freak. Yeah. Like, there's no way. And then we see the splash screen. I'm like, okay.
It's so
I'd
funny.
also like to shout
out
a
thing of like, I didn't even expect it when this trailer started. I was like, oh, what is this? Like, for a second, I thought it was Nier. It kind of gave me Nier vibes, and then it goes Game Freak Presents. I'm like, what the fuck is Game Freak doing at an Xbox conference? Like, you're at Nintendo's conferences usually, but this was that Private Division game that. Did they say who's publishing it now? Is it just self-published?
No, there's a publisher. I can't remember the name though. It starts with an F.
Fame Freak.
Fame Freak. I can check real quick. What was the game called?
Beast of Reincarnation.
But yeah, what were you saying, Ben, earlier?
I'd like to give a shout out to Chronos because I do think it looks like a really good game from Blooper. It's just this fall's so packed.
Wait a second, it's the Lego Party publisher? That's crazy.
Fictions. What the hell?
This is literally their first two published games. Wow.
Hey, you know what? I've always said Lego Party and Beasts of Reincarnation have very similar vibe. But no, Bench, I'm with you with Kronos. That game looks awesome. I'm really hoping for a Blooper Team comeback, and I think that game kind of shows, especially after Silent Hill 2 remake. It's like, okay, I think they got the stuff now, and I'm kind of ready to see what that game's all about. Very Dead Space coded with that one.
Yep.
But yeah, no. What was it called? I think that Beast of Reincarnation game, though, I'm very curious about it, but I'm kind of with you, Bob, of like, okay, we'll see, because this is also the same team that made Little Town Hero. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll see. I want to if this comes out and it's a banger, like it looks and runs great, then I'm like, okay, we gotta like space out the Pokemon games, because it's clear that if you let Game Freak give them time to cook, maybe they could put out some bangers.
Yeah, I definitely will recontextualize a lot of our complaints about Game Freak, and it's like, all right, what's the truth here? Because clearly they can make something, if it comes out and it's good, they can make something of like a AAA stature that we always thought they could, but for some reason with Pokemon, it's a fucking indie game still.
Hey, the windmills in the Scarlet and Violet update, they're working now.
God. Let me tell you, I went in there and I sprinted around, and the pop-up within 10 feet of me just made me laugh my ass off.
Oh man, that's funny. What's it called? Your last highlight, Bob? Did we
low light? Yeah.
Oh, low light. I forgot. My bad. I'm brain dead.
You're good. This one's pretty quick. It kind of goes back to the timing and pacing of things. I didn't love that we started on Outer Worlds 2, and this is also the second year in a row that we started with the game that's in the extended showcase, because last year, like I said, we started with COD, and COD got the extended deep dive. I don't like that. Like that needs to be a middle of the showcase. Like, okay, here's a quick trailer. All right, now also remember to stick around for the. Don't do that at the beginning because I
Yeah.
think it's kind of wasted space for something that I think deserves to be there. So yeah, and again, you already heard about how much I love the Outer Worlds 2 showcase. So it has nothing to do with the game, but it's
Mhm.
strictly a decision choice for the showcase itself.
I guess you could
Mhm.
argue that the real quote unquote start to the show was High on Life 2.
Which is worse.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a weird one because like Justin Roiland, he's things didn't work out for him. So I
But he's
think
gone.
it's still his team, but like he's out.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's gonna be about. I don't know. Did people like High on Life overall? I heard mixed things.
Like I think it was like a good 7 out of 10 if you like
Yeah.
the humor, maybe an 8 out of 10, but like it didn't do anything bad unless you didn't like the humor. But didn't
the trailer
necessarily do
gave
anything
off
great.
the trailer gave off like big like Killzone 2 at E3 energy where I'm like, this is fake. This isn't actual
Yeah, I'm
gameplay.
Mhm.
sure. It didn't it definitely looked mostly CGI.
Uh, some shout outs now. Super Meat Boy 3D. Me and Jack pop off hard for this. This looks
That was huge.
awesome. I love Super Meat Boy. Just like, hey, we're gonna do basically a 3D platformer for Meat Boy. Is like music to my fucking ears. It looks just as difficult as Meat Boy, which is exactly what I need to hear. I'm super into that. Early 2026. That is a very heavily anticipated game for me. And then also Grounded 2.
Yes.
Obsidian has 3 games in 1 year. I could barely watch it during the developer direct because I don't know if y'all know this. I just have a really, really bad fear of bugs. So just giant bugs is not a good thing for me. But Bob, I know you're into Obsidian. Do you have any opinions on Grounded 2?
And I did play a good bit of the first Grounded. I didn't keep up with the expansions, but I want to say like the first expansion and like at the game preview launch, I played it. And weirdly enough, I had a fun time with it. These kind of multiplayer
Mhm.
survival crafters are not my jam, but luckily, my friend group are huge into them. So I was able to play with them, and you're definitely going to have more fun with friends than you are by yourself. And it's just a really cool concept. It is genuinely like I'm not even kidding, Wolf. Don't even with the arachnophobia mode, like this game, for whatever reason, I don't have a fear of spiders.
Mhm.
I don't like them either. And like this game freaks me out with the spiders just because of the
Yeah.
scale and everything. But it was still fun. And also, I don't know if I don't know if you saw me talk about it in Discord, but did you see who's like co-developing this game with them?
What was it? Eidos, right?
Yeah, right? Like what an insane collab. Like
It's very weird.
I really feel bad for Eidos. Ever since they like kind of went on their own, they are what was it?
They
What was
didn't
the
go
game
on
they
their own.
helped?
They're owned by Embracer, aren't they?
Yeah, but or I'm sorry, I meant just like they because weren't they a part of Square Enix?
They were part of Square Enix. They did Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I think that was the last like big thing. And then they were sold off to oh god, what was it? Embracer Group around like
Right.
2022.
And they did oh god, I forgot what game they did last
They
year.
have a
But
weird. I could check real quick
yeah, they like their partnerships have been weird, and this is
because
definitely a weird one.
they had canceled games. That Deus Ex game was canceled. They were gonna do.
Sure, yeah, but they definitely
Uh,
worked co-developed on something last year, 2 years
they
ago.
helped develop Marvel's Guard. Oh no, they developed Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I forgot
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
like
like their
more big.
last big one, I think.
Uh, they're supporting on Fable.
It was something else.
There's something. I mean, I don't see
Hold on,
anything.
I'll look it up in a sec.
Is
But
there another Eidos I'm not thinking of? Because I'm looking at Eidos Montreal.
let me see where it
Their
might.
website tagline is "Crafting Emotions." Shut up.
Um.
But no, go yeah, go ahead. We'll just finish up.
Oh, it was Thief VR. They're helping work on the Thief VR game.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not too surprising. They worked on the first Thief or the
True, but
remake.
it's just like that's such a weird like I don't know.
Yeah, no,
It's
I get
besides
what
the
you mean
point.
though. They're kind
It's
of
just
all over the
surprising.
place right now.
Yeah,
They're in a
right.
very weird
It's
position.
very surprising. But yeah, going back to the actual game, it does look good. They said the map is 3 times bigger than the entire first game. They have more story content at launch, and they're going to prioritize bigger expansions rather than like faster but smaller updates. The
Yeah.
combat changes look good. The crafting changes look good. You have mounts now that are called buggies, which is hilarious because
That's
it's
fucking awesome.
yeah, I mean it's self-explanatory. But yeah, I thought Grounded 2 had a really good showing, a surprise to be in the deep dive, but like it actually got me excited for it. And I think it comes out next month, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
July
Mhm.
29th, I think it was.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Beef. He like last prediction yesterday night. He was just like, I feel like Obsidian is gonna show up with Grounded 2, and he has insider info. I'm still thinking about that.
It's the same guy who
Um,
told him Balatro was going to be good.
motherfucker. Just other things I want to bring up real quick. We already talked about Mudang. Planet of Lana 2. That's very interesting. I
There's one we haven't
played the
brought up.
first one.
There's two we haven't brought up.
I'm
But yeah,
looking at
one
the
of them's
list.
one of
Well,
them's
no,
bigger.
I'm going through the list right now, so I'm just checking out things. What was it? Oh, the Final Fantasy games finally got the shadow drops, or 16 is shadow
Mhm.
dropped, and 7 remake is winter, which is funny.
You would think that'd be backwards. Like
Yeah.
I don't get that one.
Yeah, but it looks interesting. I mean, hey, people get to play 16. 7 remake, they gotta wait, I guess, but sure. It's
Do I replay those games on Xbox? That is now the question.
I really thought they'd be on Game Pass.
If you're
I'm
gonna
actually
replay them, Bob, it's gonna be on PC. Come on.
I know that's the thing. It's like it's hard to replay stuff on Xbox willingly when I have a PC.
I mean, you guys can bring up the game. Oh, Resonance of Plague Tale Legacy. I forgot about that. Yeah, and I saw the other one. I forgot.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting. It's a prequel. It looks like. I only played the first game, so whatever was happening in that trailer, I don't know. But it seems pretty cool, and I know Jat and Moon are very excited.
Yeah, I wasn't
Silksong.
a big Plague Tale guy, but it does look. I didn't know what it was, and everyone's like, "Yeah, this is obviously Plague Tale." I'm like, "Okay, clearly, even though I beat the first game, I did not
Yeah.
recognize Plague Tale
It
immediately
was
or
the
Plague Tale immediately." But
it was leaked the day before. That's why.
oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't think I'll be checking it out, but I'm shout out to Asobi, dude. They keep
Yeah, Asobo's
just
great.
like, or yeah. So is Asobi Astrobot and
Asobi is
Asobo?
Yeah.
Astrobot. Asobo. Yeah, one of them got to change their names.
Yeah, I know. We got to do more than just a vowel, guys. But yeah, I mean, shout out to them. They keep just like plugging away. I mean, maybe they were spending too much time on this and not enough on Flight Sim, which is why their launch was so bad. But you know what? Maybe this is a good game and we'll justify it.
And then the other one, the Xbox handheld is revealed. It at least like the Xbox Ally, and Hollow Knight Silksong was on it for like a split second. I don't know, man. This is getting comical at this point. You couldn't even do a trailer with a date.
I belly laughed. Like I
Well,
actually
so
laughed.
It was
Like
bad
you-
enough that they showed it during like the reveal of this thing, but then Sarah Bond being like, and you can play Hollow Knight this holiday when the ROG Ally Xbox launches, and it's like
it was weirdly worded.
that's crazy. That is such a crazy, like they don't get a trailer, they don't get information. We get a much anticipated game's information through a fucking hardware ad.
I don't know if you caught this. The Silksong developers were saying it's like we're coming out before winter, and it kind of brings up the idea that like it was weirdly worded because it sounded like it's gonna launch with the Ally.
I thought, yeah.
Yeah,
what I
but
thought.
it's actually they're just saying like, oh, you can play it on the Ally, which is like why worded so weirdly. Just say like you'll be able
I don't
to
think
play.
Xbox
Yeah.
knew. I think because clearly Team Cherry is not like
They don't like talking.
yeah, I clearly they are not like in communication with these people, so they're just like, yeah, sure, okay, here's the game, we have to market it, but they're not really getting back to us. And they're like, well, we know the ROG Ally, like they probably have a window for Silksong, and they're like, okay, well, we know the Ally will be after this, so let's just say you can play it on the Ally when the Ally comes out.
It's weird.
Yeah.
At this
They
point, I
can't-
really thought we'd get the full date for Silksong during this week. The only place left is the Nintendo Direct, which hey, it could probably show up there. It's just I don't know what the deal with this game is anymore.
You just can't make up them doing this. It's just
No.
so you can't make it up.
Yeah, I
Like if you told me this,
prominently.
if you told me, because we all thought it'd be here this weekend at the Xbox show, but if you told me this would happen, I would have called you crazy. But we've seen
I
it
think
all.
unfortunately, I still think this game will be good. However,
Unfortunately.
no, because here's the comparison I'm about to make, and Fusion's gonna hate me for invoking this name. But we are reaching sports level type launch where it hasn't showed up. Yeah. Wait, what did I say?
You said sports level.
Okay. It's a sports story level release where it's like we keep waiting for it, we keep getting it, and then randomly they're like, "Oh yeah, it's out today." And it's like, "What?" Like at a random Nintendo like fourth down the chain event. It's like, this is how you announce it? Like, what are we doing here? And I just feel like, yeah, we're bound for like a random shadow drop that's not really tied to anything major because clearly at the big events we just won't get anything.
It's absolutely asinine. I don't know what's up with Team Cherry. Sports Story is so funny. Sports Story went through like really bad development changes. We
Yeah.
saw. I wonder if SILKSONG kind of had. Dark is convinced it had an engine change, which is very interesting. I don't know if it went that severe. I think this is just a team that's very perfectionist. They like to take their time, and also I think it's only like 2 or 4 people. I forget. It's a very very small team, but I just think it's so weird to just barely be in communication. It also had a lot of like changes on the Steam database, just randomly. It's a
right.
But here's my thing. Here's my hot take. This doesn't leave this call. Okay. I really love Hollow Knight. I think that's an awesome video game. SILKSONG does not deserve the level of hype it's reaching at this
I'm
point.
with you. I'm with
you.
you.
Would think
100%.
it's Half-Life
Yeah.
3.
Yep.
Like it's getting comical.
Yep.
It's a really good Metroidvania, but like people are like, oh dude, when it comes out, game of the generation. I'm like, I don't know, guys.
I mean, we do have the #1 Hollow Knight fan in our ear every single day of the week. So we hear about it more frequently than most.
Bench, I feel like I hear about it from you more frequently than Fusion.
Because it's funny. It's funny.
Listen,
it's so funny.
Here's the thing. I really do equate, and I don't know if this is fair, but since we're on the topic, I really do equate Hollow Knight fans with FromSoft fans. Sorry, Wolf. But like,
okay.
I just like they will just hype up and not just not shut up about like these games, and it's like, listen, that's not a shot. Obviously, Elden Ring, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, even Armored Core, which most like I would say it's more the Dark Souls base. Like the people who like FromSoft, I don't think are like, I think that's different from like the Dark Souls, Elden Ring specific people. But it's like they're just talkers, man. They're yappers, and that's coming from a yapper. Like game recognizes game, and I recognize their game as yappers.
I think it's just because they sold very well. Both of them are very high selling video games. So I think like
Hollow Knight is not selling to the level of Dark Souls.
You'd be surprised. I think if I remember the last stat, I think Hollow Knight sold 20 million.
Holy shit! Okay.
Yeah,
okay. I don't know. Yeah,
but I think even with the file stuff on Steam, you'd have to think maybe there's a direct this week.
No, I'm still totally out on the all Nintendo things. I think we're getting what we're get, and like maybe we'll get something down the road, but soon, no.
Okay, maybe not 20 million.
I was gonna say that was a lot, Wolf. Like 10, I can understand.
I think it was closer to 10 million. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I remember because just on the speaking of Hollow Knight fans, one stat I remember is right now we can estimate Hollow Knight has sold 21.8 million copies.
Holy shit!
Which is like, I don't know. I'm reading the post right now, and it's like kind of basically a lot of guesstimates.
Gotcha. I did want to also shout out, because we didn't talk about it. This is the last thing. At Fate's End, which is the new game from the Spiritfarer devs, which, if you remember, you're like, wait, haven't they made something recently as well? Yes, that was 33 Immortals, the game that released a couple months ago, and no one is talking about it.
Well, that was released on preview, right?
Yeah, but it was still, I mean, it's still out,
no one talked
and like
about it, yeah.
no one's playing it. So and I was
I'm
really
glad to know they had a different team at this.
right,
That's how I
exactly.
felt.
I'm really glad to see that they are still at their roots, like making a interesting single player game. It was funny because Fusion said it was Fusion bait, and I'm like, I feel like he'd be the type that likes Spiritfarer, so that's interesting.
Mhm.
But I thought the combat looks like a completely different game than Spiritfarer, and they're adding the card system. I really like what they're doing there. I'm genuinely, this game is on my radar. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm mostly just happy that those devs are making a spiritual successor or like something in the vein of Spiritfarer again, and not just going straight multiplayer.
Yeah, I'm with you. It looks really cool. I'm into the vibe. The art style, of course, is beautiful, and I like my cards. Slay the Spire. One thing, very last thing I need to bring up. Phil at the end was making a weird, like, kind of, I don't want to say proclamation, but kind of like just a weird thing to announce where he basically said next year is going to be a strong year for Xbox. When Gears of War E-Day, which now we know officially is a 2026 game, duh, because we didn't see it here. Beefhammer is not feeling good about that. And then he noted just a Forza game is coming out next year. And I gotta ask the Forza, bro. I mean, like, is this Forza Horizon 6?
Yeah, and it's so funny because we had talked about this last night when we were playing Mario Kart, talking about we should be getting a Forza Horizon 6 by now, and I've been pretty firm in saying they really want, like, after 5, the creative director left. Clearly, Playground is putting all of their effort into Fable. I know they have more than one team, but like it seems like they really want to get Fable out the door, or at least to a point where let's work on it for a long time and then we can go back to Forza Horizon, because at the release clip Horizon was doing, it was not sustainable to keep that clip and then also do Fable. That being said, it comes down to either this is a new Horizons game, and yeah, crazy to announce it that way, or it's some sort of other spin-off that I have no idea what it's going to be, because, like, I don't know, maybe it's like a God, oh my God, what if it's like a remake of the original? God, that would suck, but I would still play it. Maybe they're going down that route, or it's like some sort of 2.0 update for Forza Motorsport, because that game honestly had a terrible launch as well. It's finally in a pretty decent spot, and maybe there's some new big expansion that they could like slap their claim on it being like, almost re-releasing the game. But yeah, I still just have a very hard time believing this is Forza Horizon 6. I have a better
Mm-hmm.
belief that it's something Forza Horizon related. I don't think this is 6 though. I just don't see that.
I I guess, yeah, it's weird because it's like Fable's the same year, and that's Playground Games as well. I
Right.
do think it's weird to think that they just didn't work on a Forza Horizon in all that time. I have to imagine that a Forza Horizon is like pretty far in development, but who knows? Maybe, I mean, like you kind of mentioned a lot of stuff even last night when we were talking about it. Is like it's very possible that they're so knee deep into what's it called Fable that Forza's kind of just taking a backseat. It just I don't know. It's a
Well,
weird.
and to your credit, like it is such a as much as I love that game, it's a very formulaic game to where you could lose your creative director, and as long as you didn't lose a lot of that team, they can just copy and paste that game into a new location. So it's not like totally inconceivable that it's a Forza Horizon 6. I just personally think that they wanted a lot of those people to be working on Fable and then go back.
Yeah, that's fair. I get what you mean.
But man, if it's a Forza Horizon 1 remake, I hate that, but at the same time, because
That'd be so funny.
because here's the thing specifically about those games is that if you've ever looked at the store, I don't think you can even buy Forza Horizon 4 anymore, because the licensing with cars and music make it so they take those games off of the stores pretty fast. And you can't like re-download them or repurchase them once
Mhm.
they're taken off. So it's not a Last of Us situation where you could just go, and yeah, I guess if you still had the disc, you could go and pop that back in. But It makes slightly, I'm not going to defend it, but it makes slightly more sense to remake that one because there is actually a reason for it.
Yeah, I'm curious. It's very interesting. I wonder, is it possible it's a different team doing 6? Or would it have to be Playground?
I guess it could be Turn 10. I would just imagine it's Playground. I would
rough.
imagine whatever this Forza game is coming from that Playground team because we know
Yeah.
Fable and Forza were separate teams. So I'd imagine they've been working on something. I just don't know what.
But yeah, that's the Xbox showcase. That's everything that was talked about and announced. There's some other things, but I didn't know if that was really worth bringing up. Overall, yeah, I think we're all pretty like, yeah, this was solid. Like, this is kind of what it
Mhm.
was. It was never going to meet the heights of last year's, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, it was better than SGF. I think at this point now we're just waiting for Nintendo. With what's it called, the June Direct, which they do every year. By the way, I keep like hearing people go like, "Is there going to be one this year?" It's like, yes, they do it every year. If this month goes by and there isn't one, then we could start saying like, "Oh, maybe the June Direct isn't an eternal thing anymore." But they've done a Direct in June every single year. I'd be surprised if they didn't do one this year.
My only
Uh,
pushback there is that they don't usually have a Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. So I feel like that took the place of a E3 summertime June Direct. I could very
Yeah,
well be wrong. I just
I
don't think that's the case.
my
but I
argument
think
is
with
that.
that
Go
that
ahead,
direct
Bunch.
was hardware. That direct was hardware focused, like for 95% of it.
Uh, I don't know about that. Yeah, they showed a
It
lot of
was
hardware, but they showed a ton of games during that.
yeah,
It was hardware and third party, I think, is what Bench is saying. Is like it was mostly
Yeah,
just showing like the partners and kind of the third party, and also just like launch window mostly
it
more than
also
anything.
wasn't new games from like third parties. It was ports. So I'm sure
Mm.
plenty of Nintendo partners have new games they'd like to show in a direct running on Switch too.
And also, Bob, I'd argue that they still barely haven't showed much of Donkey Kong. They have in like Treehouse and whatnot, but like they haven't shown like a big new trailer, like really highlighting more of the game. And they usually like to do like a deep dive of whatever is next from them in these directs. And also, we know nothing about Kirby. We know nothing about, well, we kind of know stuff about Pokemon, I guess, and we're getting that Pokemon Presents, but Metroid Prime 4 still needs a release date. It's at a point now where like you look at the slate of games, it's like there's enough here to where you could fill out a
Yeah.
direct and probably announce something for 2026 on top of that.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's totally fair.
yeah.
I just don't think so.
Hey man, when it's announced, you're gonna have
We
to
can
be
just
on the
take
podcast.
Yeah, flame me in the comments.
we can also just take away your Switch 2 privileges.
You can't actually, because guess what, guys? While we were recording this podcast, I unlocked the last NPC character in
Yeah.
Mario Kart. So
Oh
suck it.
yeah.
Kamek finally gave it to you. I keep wanting to do that, but I'm like, I don't want to deal with the pain.
That
I
is
got
one of the worst grinds I've ever done in a video game. Oh my god.
I got Pianta. I'm happy. Um,
Up the,
I want to bring
roasting
up
your goat.
some games that weren't at any of the shows that actually really surprised me and Fusion especially. Tomb Raider. I think a lot of people were expecting Tomb Raider. Nothing at all. Bioshock. There was that kind of MP First article that was going around that a Bioshock announcement is being prepped. It should be happening soon about one of the Bioshock projects. Nothing at all from Bioshock, which I am genuinely shocked about. Wolf Among Us 2, I'm not too surprised. That seems to be going through development hell. Silksong, I really thought would get a date, or at least a trailer. It's weird how this game is kind of treated as like a, hey, look, it's in the background type of joint. The God of War side project, what's currently being rumored as a Metroidvania, nothing at all in that regard. I have to imagine that 2D God of War game exists because there's just way too many, like, there's way too much smoke and not enough fire, and I'm like, it has to be revealed. The assumption that me and Fusion kind of landed on was it probably got delayed into 2026 and they just don't want to reveal it yet. But yeah, that was a weird one that just didn't even show up anywhere. The Sega Revival games, I thought this was a shoo-in. Specific Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio, nothing at all from either of them, which I'm very shocked about. FF9 remake, which is now the only game in the Nvidia leak that still hasn't been revealed yet, which That's funny. Bench, your Tales of still nothing. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
And then nothing from Everwild, which I'm still convinced that game is canceled. And also Contraband, which I'm also very much more convinced that game's canceled.
I'll say for FF9, I think us getting tactics is just that's up next. I think there was an order to that, and I think this
Yeah.
9's up next. Whether that's at a direct, a showcase, it's not this year, so they'll show it when they want to. Not upset about that at all.
You think they want to space out their Final Fantasy releases now because they kind of realize the diminishing returns from 16 and Rebirth, and it's like, maybe we should just space them out a bit longer.
Yeah, I just also think 9 just couldn't be ready yet. They have no reason to show it. It could be like a summer or
Fair.
maybe August, September kind of thing with next year, and there's no reason to show it yet.
Yeah. If anything, I could probably see it at the Nintendo Direct. That seems like something that seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys are surprised hasn't shown up at any of the shows this week?
I think the biggest thing was that SILKSONG date. I thought that was a surefire it's happening.
No Roadcraft 2. I'm
So-
going to be honest. I really thought after the successful launch we'd hear more about that one.
1 month. Fastest development cycle of all time.
I heard 20 million copies according to the.
Okay.
Holonet
We're not doing that. All right. It was the first thing I saw.
I know. it's just-
All right. Well, I think that's everything. Nothing to really talk about outside of that. I guess to just bring up, like, we have been playing Switch 2, playing a lot of Mario Kart. I've been playing Mario Odyssey again. I'm overall. I guess we could just bring like a quick little sentence before we talk about it next Thursday, hopefully. I'm very satisfied with Switch 2. It is a stronger Switch, which is literally one thing I've been waiting for a long time. And pretty much my experience has just been, hey, this is a lot bigger, a lot stronger. This is making my games that I love to death look and run a whole lot better. Breath of the Wild is absolutely gorgeous. I'm so glad to be playing that again. It's pretty much everything I wanted. Mario Kart World has been fantastic, and I'm just kind of ready for the next Nintendo games, the next big Nintendo games to really kind of specify. It's like, this is what the console's all about. And I keep hearing people go, "Oh, there's no games for this thing," and I'm like, well, guys, it's been 4 days. At the end of the day, it was always Mario Kart is pretty much all it needed to launch with. I always hear people say like, "Oh, I needed to launch with more," and I'm like, no. Mario Kart's the best-selling game on the console. Like, truly, it didn't need to launch with anything else. That's just how I feel. Call me a fanboy. I don't know. It's just how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mario Kart's been fun, and it'll just get better. Like I've had 2 sessions with some people in the Discord, and both of those have been a ton of fun. I think just the system makes a lot of small changes that build up into some overall large changes that I'll go over more on the show later this week that I think just really make me enjoy my time with Switch 2 so much more than Switch 1. I'm very happy so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the kind of jump on that. I'm kind of the same way. I'm really happy with it so far. I've also been able to check out Tears of the Kingdom and Link's Awakening, and I think they both look absolutely beautiful. And I'm mostly satisfied. I really like Mario Kart World. I just wish there was, as much as I love Mario Kart World, I wish there was something a little bit more, like I almost wish we got Bonanza or something to really
fair enough.
justify
Mhm.
that the launch of the Switch 2. I just don't think Mario Kart World is that game as much as I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sitting in my Switch 2 time now playing a 12-year-old game just in HD, so
I think I will say, Bob, I think no one would have been complaining if Prime 4 launched with the system, and I'm really surprised it didn't. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
a case of like it kind of, because like no one complained about the Switch launch with Breath of the Wild, because I think that launch was even worse because it launched with Just Dance and Skylanders, and I think like no one cared because, well, Breath of the Wild is a 97 rated game. It's one of the greatest games of all time. And I think if this launched with some big single player thing for people to really sink their teeth into, then I think the excitement would have still been there.
And also, the $80 conversation really got out of hand.
Yeah.
But it seems like it didn't matter for the sales. It seems like this thing is doing very well, which I'm curious to see how it goes.
I wonder if they just say how much it sold in the first 3 or 4 days.
A rumor. It's from a Nintendo YouTuber, so grain of salt. But it said 3.5 million in a day, which honestly that doesn't sound crazy. I believe that.
But again, I'm gonna wait until we hear like official word from
Mhm.
Nintendo, which
I mean,
would
my
probably be at
Best
the
Buy
financial report.
sorry, my Best Buy alone in a suburb of a not that huge of a city got 700, just the one Best Buy. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, and I'm pretty sure they're out of stock. So I just can't imagine how many were sold.
Yeah, it's probably
Mhm.
a shit ton.
Yep.
All right, well, that does it for the podcast. Pretty big, beefy episode, but hey, you know what? At the end of the day, it was
Kept it
a
under
big E3
3.
recap. Hey, you know that? Hey, I'm proud of us, honestly. Shout
There you
outs to
go.
you,
Yep.
Bob. Uh, yeah, no, thank you guys so much for joining. It was a ton of fun. Talked a lot about video games, which is always fun. And we're gonna talk a lot more, especially about the Switch 2 later. So I'm very excited about that. We had 2 Sunday episodes in a row. We should be going back to Fridays or Saturday,
Mhm.
technically, episodes this coming week. I assume it's not going to be a lot of news for the following weeks. Most likely,
Unless
just
there's a direct.
cool down, except the direct, probably, yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Thank you guys so much for joining. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, all your favorite podcast platforms. Like us on all the platforms as well, and follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky at a Slice of Gaming. With that, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Outdoor supremacy, baby.
Get conked.